The man turned to the evaluator and eagerly asked to name the result he needed to know what talent the main character had. The main character was named Aldgrim. No, he was only 5 years old. He was the eldest son in the family, and the evaluator said his talent was decoding, and no other talents were found. The Aldgrims are an ancient line of magical aristocrats stretching through generations. They raised outstanding wizards and sorceresses. Everyone was interested in the results of Noah, the eldest son, who was undoubtedly destined to become the most talented. The father froze upon hearing the evaluator's words about his son's talent. His name was Aldgrim Hildegand, the current head of the family. He asked if his son had neither offensive magic nor elemental magic. After that, the man shifted his gaze to his eldest son. He looked at him innocently and asked what had happened. Hildegund flew up to the main character, struck him in the face, and blurted out that he was a disgrace to their family. The boy froze at these words. The father asked how he dared to tarnish their reputation. Noah, with a bruised face, tried to respond, but the man did not let him speak. He asked him to be silent and added that he was not his son. After that, the man opened the door and left the room. The evaluator tried to call him by name, but he did not respond. When the door slammed, the main character began to cry and started apologizing to everyone. Some time passed, and Noah was walking down the corridor. He saw a maid he wanted to talk to. As soon as she looked and realized it was him calling, she turned away and said she was very sorry. Since then, the main character found himself alone. People turned away from him. He is convinced the order of his father is to blame for everything. He tried to behave well for his father's sake so that no one would feel hostility toward him, but no one still wanted to talk to him. So he began to disappear into the library. Reading distracted him from what was happening. One day, while reading a book, he suddenly stopped and asked himself how he managed to read such complex literature. Maybe it was all thanks to the fact that he knew how to decipher. After that, whenever he could, he started to peek into the library. Each time he entered, he puzzled over which book to take today, since he had already read everything in that room. After some time, he went outside and sat near the house. Suddenly, he noticed a slab nearby, got interested, crawled closer, and saw inscriptions in a language he did not know. Then he returned to the library and began copying onto paper those symbols he had seen. They seemed incredibly complex to him, and he did not understand at all what they meant. He moved closer to the slab again and came across a fragment of a translation. It said that on the reverse side, everything had to be rearranged in a given order. Pondering over the backside, he looked there and saw text that also required deciphering. After a month, he finally deciphered all the symbols on the slab, and then arranged the books on the shelves exactly as was written. Almost immediately, the bookcase shifted aside, revealing a passage to a secret room. The main character froze in amazement. There were stairs, and he decided to look inside. Step by step, he descended the stairs, looking around. Suddenly, one lantern lit up by itself. He wondered, maybe this was the shining magical stone mentioned in the book. Reaching the very end, he fixed his gaze on a door with familiar symbols the same as on the slab, only now he could decipher them. It was a hidden library, and he opened the door. When he stepped over the threshold of the room, numerous large bookshelves unfolded before him. The space was wide, and from what he saw, his face flushed red. An admiring exclamation escaped his lips. The main character rushed between the shelves and thought, although this place was underground, there was still light here. He had not read any of these books, and they all looked very old. Having walked around the entire perimeter of the room, he suddenly noticed, separately from everything else, on the table lay a book with symbols of the same language, and he stepped closer. On the cover it was written that these are the basics of ancient magic. He opened the book and decided, something strange. The main character had just started reading and almost immediately understood. The text is complex, and it seems he will have to dive into it for a long time. He thought he still had plenty of time, but then he remembered his father's words. He was no longer his son. And then he trembled and cried from hurt. The main character sobbed uncontrollably and thought that the ability to decipher was a talent his father simply dismissed. The ability to simply read and understand various symbols seems useless in the modern world. But if deciphered, they can overturn the very structure of the world. Because everything depends on symbols, but Noah does not know this, yet he still does not understand. His father told him that at 15 he would have to leave their estate, and the boy replied, understood everything. Then the man added that although he was the eldest son of the family, without magical talent he could not become its head. The main character said that today was his last day in this mansion. He put the book on the table, and a cloak was thrown over his shoulders. Then he approached and said goodbye to all the staff, thanked them with a smile for everything, but they continued to ignore him. He himself already felt he had gotten used to it during this time. Noah thought that despite everything, he never forgot to thank his service. He pondered why he did it and concluded simply because he wanted to. He remembered how they talked to him, they were kind and helped. The hero needed what is natural for a person. After that, his face became resolute. He thought that he himself wanted to behave the same way with someone. After some time, he left the estate onto the street, and at that very moment someone called him. It was Glenn. He said he heard that he was finally kicked out of the house. Noah greeted him. Aldheim Glenn was the second son in the family and the hero's brother. He turned 13, and the boy directly told the hero that he would be the next head. Glenn raised his hands in a victory gesture and proudly declared that, unlike Noah, he knows how to use offensive magic. He has the fire element. Every living creature has magical abilities hidden inside, but without talent they cannot be used. And modern magic is only within the power of the chosen. Here, even if you stand on your head, nothing will change for the main hero. Noah said that although they have different mothers, they are still brothers, so he will miss him. Glenn flared up at his words and declared that he would not miss him. He called him a disgrace to the family and even added that it was good that he was leaving the house. The hero instantly recalled his father's words. Someone like you is a disgrace to the family. Then he smiled and asked Glenn why he was smiling like that, and Glenn simply replied, he thinks the same as their father. And the brother also said that he was too stupid, that's why he annoys him. He doesn't even know magic, so he turned to the flame and asked it to flare up with its magical ball. Glenn decisively clenched the formed ball of fire in his palms and announced that this was the first level of flame. Then the boy threw the ball towards the main hero. He thought that his brother had incredible magic, but everything was not so rosy, so he sighed heavily. At that very moment, the main hero activated his skill, Breeze. It completely destroyed the fireball created by his brother. Noah thought to himself, he had read all the ancient grimoires in that secret library, and all thanks to his ability. This is ancient magic, thanks to which one can decipher ancient symbols, and they are not at all similar to modern ones. One symbol can hide a bunch of meanings and incredible power, but understanding ancient magic turned out to be a real challenge. They tirelessly, day after day, unraveled the secrets of the grimoire. 10 years passed until the ancient symbols grew into him, and he learned to create magic without words. Noah draws ancient magic from grimoires in the estate, and thanks to his talent for deciphering, he seems capable of influencing modern magic as well. Glenn froze in shock when he saw this. He nervously shouted that it was nonsense and impossible. His magic was perfect, and the main character only suggested that perhaps fire magic was dangerous here. The brother immediately asked him to be quiet, and he agreed. Then Glenn declared that Noah didn't know magic at all, so he should get out of the house so they wouldn't see him anymore. After that, the boy rushed to the house. Noah thought that they never really got along. It was sad to part on such a note, but still he could do nothing about it. It was time to go. If you think about it, the main character had spent his whole life just reading books, and now it was time to see with his own eyes what was written in them. But first he needed to earn money to see the world. There was no other way, so he decided. The best thing was to become an adventurer. Then he activated the skill Heavenly Walk and suddenly rose into the sky to continue his journey there. How far this magic would take him was unknown, but first he would head to the guild. When he was flying in the sky, he looked back at his former home. Then he turned to his father and thanked him for everything he had done for him, and after that he took off and flew away. At that moment, Glenn with a wide smile opened the door of the father's office and called him, and the father asked what had happened. The boy joyfully began to tell that the main character finally left the estate. The man, it seemed, did not share this joy. He said that everything was clear to him. He said that more important events lie ahead. In a few days, Princess Claudia, the second princess of the kingdom of Razde, is to arrive, and Glenn must prepare and treat her kindly. Glenn nodded, understood everything. When the guy left the office, the head of the family approached the window and looking at his eldest son whispered, "Do not hate me." He also added that the Aldheim family does not need people without magical talent and felt a great relief, as if the family's disgrace had left the house. Meanwhile, the hero reached the shopping district, looked down and decided to just take another look. Noah was walking through the neighborhood streets, intently observing the passers-by and the surrounding world, and smiling with admiration said that life here is vibrant. The father took him with him only on Sito, a banquet at the castle, so he almost never left the estate. And it was then that the merchant from the quarter called him and offered a sandwich. The hero considered the words, then hesitantly asked, "Give me one," and the seller replied that the deal would cost 1 silver coin. Noah asked if he could pay for the gold. The boy apologized for the rudeness and inquired if he was really rich. The main character explained, this is simply all he had. The seller said he understood everything, then gave him the change, 99 silver coins and a sandwich. Noah accepted everything with a smile and thanked him. Then the smiling salesman said that he had already thought it all over. The main character is one of Aldeheim's sons who ran away from home. The main character replied that everything was clear to him and he himself thought, I must hide immediately. Later he decided to go look for a guild. He approached one of the carts and asked where they were going. The coachman replied that they were going to level up and asked if he really wanted to go with them. The hero pondered his own words. This territory is in the east, so he decided to set off. After that, he gave the man coins, got into the cart, and felt that he had always dreamed of riding in it. Inside, 3 men were already sitting. Noah gently greeted them and apologized for the disturbance, but they waved him off indifferently and said everything was finished after that. The carriage set off. One of the men asked him why the main character was in level up, and he answered without hesitation that he needed the Adventurers Guild, he had to earn money. The same young man replied that he understood everything and everything was going well there now. Noah noted that it had not always been so. People started by nourishing the parched land. The stranger said that the hero knows everything well and then added, once it was poor here, but a lot of time has passed since then. Few knew the history of the city, said the boy who called himself Edgar, and added that they were all traders. Another man suggested that if Noah wanted, he could tell him about his ute hand. Noah agreed. The main character thought, what is told firsthand cannot be found in books. To grasp the essence, one must learn by oneself through personal experience. Noah was smiling, thinking he was lucky. He was riding in a cart, but suddenly the cart stopped and they were all thrown to the side. The horse reared up and neighed loudly. The coachman panicked, and Edgar asked what was happening. Everyone looked out from the cart and looked ahead. Another cart stood in their way, and in it no living soul. But at that moment they saw a huge monster that roared at the top of its lungs. Edgar asked if it was a demon, then guessed that it had attacked another carriage. Another man exclaimed that this was a wind tiger, a Class A monster. Although there were supposed to be Class D and E creatures here, it was strange. Then they noticed 2 people desperately fighting with that monster. Edgar said they had already dealt with it. He felt sorry for the people in the cart, but they had to get out of it quickly. Everyone stood tense. The cart still did not move. Edgar swore loudly and demanded to be let through. If a fight started, there would only be more corpses. At that moment, the main hero said he would help these people. One of the men snorted indignantly in response. What are you even talking about? Don't joke, you'll only lose your life. Noah thanked them for their concern, but he could not act otherwise. After that, he jumped out of the cart and thought, no one had ever helped him. It was so hard that words could not describe it. At that moment, the main hero used a landing skill, turned to the men and ordered them to go ahead. Then thanked them for the interesting stories, and the carriage moved on. And after a few moments, Noah approached the monster closer. It was gigantic, and around it rose such a fierce wind that it swept away everything in its path. The hero remembered reading in one of the books, Wind Tiger is a master of aerial combat, so it was advised to keep him on the ground to limit his maneuvers. At that moment, the knight in armor noticed Noah. He was just hovering in the air. The knight shouted to the monster that Noah was here and let it come and take him, while thinking, first I need to draw the tiger's attention to myself. Wind Tiger always accepts invitations to aerial combat. When the trick worked, he thought, great, now those people are at least temporarily safe. At that moment, the monster struck the hero, slapped a curse, and realized he had never before used ancient attack magic in battle. But there was no choice left. While he was thinking, the knight also rushed into battle, shouting that he must get him, and threw a sword at him. At that moment, the Wind Tiger was distracted by the attack, and the knight immediately swore, and the hero thought his time had come, so he held out his hand in front of him. After his Wind Tiger attack, everything exploded. The knight and the girl froze in shock. The girl thought the purple fire attack was impressive, and Noah sighed deeply and said it was good that he still managed. After that, the boy sank to the ground as if he had no strength left at all, and the girl turned to him and thanked him for protecting them. The hero stood up, apologized to them for being so late, and said he would leave. But the girl, with a determined look, asked him not to go. She said she wanted him to thank her for saving them, and meanwhile they were heading to the Aldheim estate. Then she asked if he wanted to go with them. He realized that these people were heading to his family, so he loudly said he was in a hurry and could not. Their safety was the best thanks. Then the girl asked at least to say his name, and he, turning with a smile, said, my name is Noah. The girl blushed at what she heard and repeated his name. At that moment, the knight said the horse was safe and that they needed to move on. She turned to the man and said, that is good news, and at that moment Noah flew away. While the girl was distracted by the knight with their stripe, the main hero had already disappeared. She turned and called him by name, but no one was nearby. The girl said that Mr. Noah seemed to be an outstanding wizard, and to herself she thought, his face seemed strangely familiar to her. At that moment, the main hero flew a decent distance away. When he landed, it seemed to him as if someone had sincerely thanked him for the first time. He thought his talent for deciphering was already doomed to failure, but he still managed to make some use of it, and from this he truly felt proud of himself. Finally, at night the girl reached the estate, and the head of the family warmly thanked them for coming all the way to his home. In response, the girl sincerely thanked him for the invitation. It turned out this girl is the second princess of the kingdom of Raz de Claudia. And at that moment, Glenn thought that she was so sweet that he had never seen such beauty before, and that she should belong to him. At that moment the father thought, if his son married Claudia, the family's position would become even stronger, so the boy must not let him down. The head of the family said he was glad to know they arrived without incident, but the girl replied, honestly, that's not quite true, a wind tiger attacked us. It was then that a knight burst into the conversation and declared that if the princess had not wanted to leave the castle, nothing would have happened. The girl replied that she was bored in the castle, that's the whole reason. After that, she realized that such behavior was unacceptable, apologized to everyone, and said that a wizard passing by helped them. With one strike of purple flame, he killed the tiger. The father fixed his gaze on the purple flame. It does not exist in modern magic. He said aloud that he had never heard of it, although most great sorcerers know each other. The girl asked him if he knew their savior, and added that he was very polite. With beautiful dark hair and a sharp gaze, this wizard's name is Noah. The father, hearing such a description, decided that it was impossible. His son was so stupid that he did not know how to use magic at all, and he loudly declared that he did not know such people. Then the girl asked where the eldest son of the family was. Claudia also said that Mr. Noah was at a reception in the Razed castle. The man cut in, there is no Noah in their family, their eldest son is Glenn. At that moment, another person interrupted the conversation, saying that he was also a fire wizard and even showed his flame. But the girl was offended by these words, and she coldly replied, everything is already clear to her. She bowed low and said that the conversation about a marriage of convenience would have to be postponed. When she returns to the kingdom's capital, she will thoroughly understand the affairs of the Aldgheim family. At that moment, the head of the family thought, if a rumor about the exile of the eldest son spread, the family's honor would be stained. The knight asked to forgive the princess for her rudeness. The man replied that everything was fine, but he thought to himself, he must find and return his eldest son before the princess arrives. The father turned to Glenn and said that he would leave the house for a short time, he must take care of himself. Glenn, stunned, asked again what was happening, about his arranged marriage and his beautiful wife. After some time, the main character reached the territory of Vagesti, to the city of Levelup, and stood in front of the Adventurers Guild building. It was clear that he was overwhelmed with shock. The boy went inside, apologized for disturbing them, and said that he first needed to register. In response, a girl's voice came from inside, asking if someone could urgently go to the volcano. She also said that they had just found an S-class monster named Fafnir there, and Lady Serena was already on site. She thinks she is taming the fire dragon. The travelers immediately asked, was it because of this monster that the kingdom of Razde was on the brink of destruction? Some began shouting that they urgently needed to hurry to help, while others confusedly asked how they could be of any use at all. One man said that Serena was the strongest in the guild, and the rest immediately flared up and began arguing with him, saying that this was no reason to abandon her. And the girl herself admitted, it was my fault because I gave the task. The main character decided that he truly had serious problems. Maybe he was the one who should go to that volcano and get that girl out of there. He said aloud that he would go and take Lady Serena. Everyone in the guild froze in amazement. The girl asked what his rank was as an adventurer. He smiled and replied that he had not registered yet. Suddenly, everyone fell silent. They refused him. The hero decided that he was not yet a real traveler, so their distrust and refusal did not unsettle him. People continued discussing what was happening. Noah decided that everyone was in despair because of Lady Serena. She was definitely very important to them. If something happened to her, many would mourn her. And also when she faces the S-class monster, she will have to stand on her own. He must go for everything to succeed. The main hero clenched his fist and thought, ancient magic reached even the wind tiger, and a class monster, so he was sure he would take down Fafnir as well. After that, he used the teleportation skill, and instantly appeared near the Labalupa volcano, exactly at the moment when a tired girl was there. She was gripping a sword in her hands, ready to strike at any moment, and could not get rid of the thought, how did this dragon even end up here? At that very moment, the monster opened its jaws and burst out with a loud roar. She decided she could not defeat an opponent of such a level. But within a few moments, the main heroine appeared right in front of her. She whispered, "Are you Lady Serena?" The main heroine was shocked. At that moment, the dragon lunged in an attack with flames, but the main hero put up a barrier at the last second and he saved them from the blow. They survived and were safe. He said that Fafnir was not for nothing an S-class monster. He withstands absolute flame. Immersed in immense magical power, he strengthened the spell, but the fire still lacked power. Serena asked who he was and how he ended up here, and the main hero replied that his name was Noah, and that he dreamed of becoming an adventurer. The girl froze in shock. She thought about his desire to become a traveler. But at that very moment, the boy said he would first deal with the dragon. He rushed straight at Fafnir, and she desperately tried to stop him, shouting that even an adventurer could not handle this monster. But he did not listen to her. After that, he charged at the dragon. The dragon flew back a few meters but was almost unharmed. He said that this monster could not be killed either. The effectiveness, as expected, was lower than against the wind tiger. The girl froze in shock and asked if he was really a monster. Nola replied he was very offended when she called him a monster. Then she herself asked if she really said that. Then Fafnir called him a human and asked what magic he possessed. First Serena and now him. The dragon had just awakened from the seal. The main character froze in shock, looking at the dragon. He asked the dragon if it was really him, the one speaking to him. Fafnir chuckled quietly and said it was interesting. He never thought anyone would be able to speak to him at all. The main character said he himself was shocked, apologized for attacking him so suddenly, and explained that they were not hostile, but the dragon did not believe him. Fafnir asked if the man's words could be trusted, then added that they had come to place a new seal on him. The main character said it was not like that at all. The girl who first rushed into battle came here to destroy the fire dragon and he had already followed her. Noah said seriously that he promised not to harm him anymore. The dragon asked if he was telling the truth. At that moment, Serena abruptly cut off the conversation and asked if he was really talking to a dragon right now. She admitted that she did not understand their language at all and immediately asked if it was the language of monsters. The hero realized he had subconsciously switched to Fafnir's language and said aloud that they were speaking an ancient language. Noah said he had read in books that other types of dragons could only speak the ancient language. Fafnir asked again about the ancient language, then added that he had been a bit mischievous, that was why he was sealed for a long time. The dragon said warmly it was good that the main character had a good heart and the ability to speak, and he also added that he was herbivorous. After that, Noah turned to Serena and said that now everything was fine. Thigh's dragon was not an evil monster. And Serena, shocked, asked again if he was joking. She also added, even if he had no hostile intentions, the kingdom of Razday would definitely not leave such a monster alone. The boy agreed with this. Then he turned to the dragon and said, if it stays here, others will probably come and seal it, so he offered it a contract as a minion. Fafnir asked again about Minion's contract and then clearly explained, this agreement will indeed be made between him and the person. The dragon realized that this contract would become his protection, so he asked the protagonist to conclude it. Fafnir said that to make him a minion, advanced lunar magic was needed, and asked if there was anything scary about it. The protagonist replied that everything was finished. After that, a huge seal grew on the ground. Powerful streams of energy burst from her. Serena froze in shock. The girl asked what was happening. A few moments after the smoke cleared, she asked what the main character did, and he replied, he made a minion contract with the dragon. The boy told the girl that now she can talk to him too. She was shocked and asked what he meant, and at that moment Fafnir said that it was incredible. He became smaller. He said that the contract was concluded unexpectedly easily and then added, Noah is still a monster. Serena asked in surprise if this tiny dragon was Fafnir, and the boy replied that the minion contract had shrunk him. He addressed the dragon and gave his name, after which everyone else also introduced themselves to each other. The main character said that the dragon had changed so much that Fafnir was not recognized in the city at all. To this, Fafnir himself replied that people would finally stop sealing him. And the girl, shocked, whispered, he really speaks. Noah smiled widely and said it was cool, had friends. Fafnir laughed and added that the assistant who calls him a friend is clearly a funny guy, while the girl meanwhile did not believe what was happening. After some time, everyone returned to the guild again. The young administrator sighed with relief and said how glad she was the lady was alive. She apologized to her, saying that it all happened because of her. But in response they heard, everything ended well. The main character stood behind everyone. The dragon on his shoulder, he watched each one closely and smiled quietly. After a few minutes, Noah and Serena went outside. Serena said she had already informed the guild she did not meet the dragon, and Noah replied with relief that it was good and thanked her. She asked where he wanted to spend the night. The main character answered that he had not decided yet, He had little money, so maybe under the open sky he did not care. Serena pondered his words and then hesitantly asked if he would mind coming to her place then. The boy asked this again. The girl blushed for a moment and blurted out that she did not mean anything like that at all, she just wanted to thank him for the help, and added that she had a free room at home. He asked if she was sure about her decision, and she replied that she would treat him to food because she cooked well. Soon they found themselves in Serena's house. The main character ate the dish she prepared and said it was tasty. Fafnir also supported him. The girl told them not to be shy and to eat as much as they wanted. She still had some left, and the boy replied that he understood everything and thanked her. Serena returned to the stove and said that he still surprised her. First, he appeared before her as if out of nowhere, and then with one breath blew away the dragon. The main character replied that he used ancient magic. The girl laughed and said she did not understand anything about it, and Noah added, "It hurts him." Serena seriously asked if he really wanted to become an adventurer, and then advised, "Tomorrow morning go to the guild and register." She, as the senior, would tell him everything. The hero thanked her, addressing her as Lady Serena, and she replied that he could simply call her by her name, she did not need such honors. The next day the two of them came to the guild. He was handed a form and instructed to first fill in all the necessary fields. He agreed. And the female administrator also asked him if the little dragon was really his assistant. Fafnir silently sat on his shoulder. At that moment the protagonist answered affirmatively, then turned to him and extended the collar. He explained it was a collar with the servant contract mark, so that in the city he would not be mistaken for a wild monster. The dragon said that was wonderful and then also thanked him. The collar was already hanging on his neck. Serena said it suited him. The protagonist quietly whispered that he had carved the rune of plasticity on the item so that it would not break when Fafnir returned to his original form. A little later the administrator returned and apologized for the delay. The girl pointed her finger at the door and said that now he needed to enter this room for a talent test. The dragon asked what had happened because his magic suddenly got tangled. He replied he had bad memories of the talent tests, but there were no other options, so they had to go there. The main character entered the room. There sat a man with glasses who introduced himself as the evaluator Carl. The hero also introduced himself and they immediately got to work. Suddenly a light flashed on the table in front of him. Noah closely watched every move he made. Carl asked if deciphering was really his skill. The man said he was surprised because he had a very rare talent, and the hero, stunned by this, asked him again. Carl said that in 10 years of working here, a man with a talent for deciphering appeared for the first time, but he was poorly suited for the role of an adventurer, so Carl offered him another job. The main character thanked him and said he did not need it. The man warned, the profession of an adventurer is full of dangers, so he asked him to be careful. After some time they left the room, and Noah smiled with relief. He was not called talentless. He said that Carl is a good person, and the dragon added that his talent cannot be ignored. After that he went to the task board together with Serena. She said that since he has rank F he should start with collecting requests. He nodded, understood everything. They chose one task. They have to go to the eastern forest and collect 10 medicinal herbs there, recommended rank F, reward 4 silver coins. Fafnir asked how much food this reward would be enough for. The hero answered, 4 sandwiches. And Serena said that this is the same place where everyone starts, so they need to go straight to the eastern forest. After some time they finally reached where they were going. The dragon said that to find that very plant in such a huge forest, they will have to work hard. The main character smiled and said they would not need much time, then activated his material detection skill. He said that this spell allows him to instantly determine where different materials are located. The dragon said that he is again taking on something unthinkable. The main character replied that it is not him, but the creator of this ancient magic. He crossed the boundaries of imagination. Fanfare said that Noah is also an unusual person and knows how to use it, and at that moment they found the herb. They quickly returned to the guild. Serena and the administrator froze. He brought a whole basket of healing herbs. He explained that besides medicinal herbs, he also collected others, those he considered useful. Serena said that for some reason this did not surprise her. After this they went with the herbs to the appraiser Carl, and he, shocked, exclaimed, "Can't believe it, so much and so fast." Holding a magnifying glass in his hand, he carefully examined one of the plants and declared that even the rare panacea and magical herbs were in perfect condition. Carl said that the main hero brilliantly coped with the first quest task, and he thanked him for the praise. He said he couldn't even imagine such a result could come from a person who has the talent to solve puzzles. Even his eyes, the appraiser's eyes, were blind here. The hero admitted that he was still a complete novice, and Carl smiled. They say a novice can wander for half a day searching for medicinal herbs, after which he asked if he had already decided which quest to take next. At first Noah refused, but as soon as the man said he had one task and wanted to entrust it to him, Noah replied he would gladly agree. The main hero looked closely at the piece of paper. It said that he needed to go to the eastern forest to collect one magical flower. The recommended rank was B, and the reward was 5 platinum coins. Carl said that magical flowers are an ingredient of the elixir of life. Noah asked if it was really the same one rumored to cure all diseases. The man answered affirmatively. The main hero wavered with doubt. The rank was too high. He admitted that as far as he knew, he could only pull off an E rank now. To this, Carl calmly replied, "Don't worry if you fail, I will pay compensation." The man insisted that his daughter was tormented by an unknown disease and it was visible. He was insanely worried. He said that he had consulted all the doctors and even leveled up. But still no one could help, so the only chance to save her was to use the power of the elixir of life. The man said that he had already obtained the panacea. He needed holy water and mermaid's tears. But all searches for the magical flower always ended empty-handed. Once it was considered a rare plant found several times a year, but in the last couple of years no one has even seen one. And now Mr. Noah showed such results, maybe he is the one who will find it. Carl declared that he was the client of this quest and hoped that the main hero would not refuse to help. He nodded, understood everything and agreed to take on the search. The man sincerely thanked him, and at that moment the dragon asked if it wouldn't be easier to cure that disease with ancient magic. The main heroine said that diseases belong more to medicine than to magic, but she still knows how to overcome some things. The boy turned to Carl and said he first wanted to check how the daughter was feeling. Carl replied, good. As soon as he finished work for the day, they would go to his house. But at that very moment the guild doors suddenly opened. A stranger approached Carl and said that something bad had happened. Something had happened to Lady Carla. The man was terribly frightened. After some time they reached Carl's house and he addressed his wife, called her Sarah. She shuddered with surprise. They approached the daughter's bed. The man asked Sarah what had happened to the girl. Sarah explained, Carla suddenly fainted and still had not regained consciousness. The doctor asked for the cause since externally the body was fine. The main hero looked intently at the girl, and suddenly something flashed in his mind and he asked to speak. At that moment the doctor sharply asked, "What are you doing? We have an emergency, don't distract him." He said that the girl had the syndrome of magical meridians hardening, but the main hero did not hear or listen. This disease cripples the ability of channels to conduct magical energy. Everyone was stunned. The main hero said that this power continuously pulses in the bodies of living beings, whether they know how to use it or not. Then he stretched out his hands and was about to apply it to the girl. He said that now only a tiny spark of energy flows through their daughter's body. The disease is more magical than medical, so it is not surprising that no one knows the cause. Carl asked if he could cure her, and the hero replied that he is now pouring his energy into her to temporarily ease the symptoms. But true healing still requires the power of the elixir. Noah said that he urgently needs to go to the forest to look for a magical flower, and Serena replied that it will soon get dark and it is dangerous to go alone, so she went with him. Carl said that he has no magical search tools. The main hero immediately asked again, and the girl explained that such tools are taken for high-difficulty quests. She also added that no one knows how long it will take to get the manager's permission. Aaliyah said that they cannot wait. Without any tools they will find the magical flower. At that moment Carl bowed his head and sincerely thanked him and Lady Serena, and Sarah asked them to be careful as well. After that the main hero and the girl went outside. He decided to use a spatial transition to the forest and asked her to hold on tight. She agreed and they teleported. To find the magical flower, one must run through the forest with the material detector turned on. He asked if she minded running and she agreed. After that they both quickly dashed through the forest. The magical flower, as its name suggested, was supposed to bloom in a magical place. The dragon said that these lands have been home to fairies for hundreds of years, but strangely he does not see any now. Serena guessed that maybe they had moved to another place, and the dragon replied that he doubted it. Fairies were used to living in solitude and could not leave their cozy forest. Fafnir said, if the flowers are grown by fairies and recently they stopped growing, then probably someone took the fairies away. At that moment the girl said she felt something and the dragon replied, her sensitivity is extraordinary. After that the whole group froze in place. The dragon flew off the main hero's shoulder and the girl began to draw her sword and shouted that the enemy was approaching. At that moment, a huge monster with a piranha head and a trident in its hand burst out from the side of her, and the girl instantly deflected its strike with her sword. Serena, with one sharp sword strike, cut the monster's torso. The upper part flew into the air, and she turned to Fafnir. The dragon said he would handle everything now and immediately unleashed his fire on that monster. The main hero watched their coordinated work in shock. He told them they were wonderful and that they had perfect, coordinated teamwork, and didn't even look at the monster lurking nearby. Serena sighed and said that Noah really was a traveler, a novice. Fafnir agreed and added, "There is a huge gap between skills and real combat experience." Serena asked him how the search for the flower was going, and the protagonist replied that he felt a faint response. After some time they reached a pond. The girl asked if it was really a lake. Noah pointed with his hand at the pond. The main hero said that the magical flower's response came from the very bottom of this lake. The girl, shocked, asked if it was true. She even asked why it grew right there. He replied that these were not really aquatic plants, but magical flowers, and he himself thought that magical energy had indeed concentrated right there. Serena sighed. There was absolutely no choice. She did not like swimming, but what could be done? The hero told her that he would go and see for himself what was there and immediately took off into the air, while the girl rushed to stop him. Then Noah activated the skill air cover, as if wrapping their bodies along with the dragon in a barrier, and in a moment, together with his assistant, plunged into the water. The girl watching them said it was clear. The main hero was in his usual style, and the latter was already at the bottom of the lake. After a few moments, he found himself face to face with some unfamiliar object. The dragon asked what it was, and the hero answered, it was a spatial rift, a type of ancient magic. He added that, simply put, it allows free passage to wherever it leads and to return back. Fafnir felt a faint breath of fairy magic, and the main hero also confirmed. A magical flower was responding to it. The dragon added that only fairies were incapable of such magic. They clearly did not go on their own. Someone took them away. The protagonist looked resolutely ahead. Then he was about to touch that crack, but it seemed to be moving to the place where he was supposed to touch. Noah said there was a barrier here and it confused him a bit. The dragon replied that he would destroy it. After that, Fafnir flew a little to the side and spat fire. The main hero said it didn't work, and the dragon replied, it was all because of the water since they were here. Noah asked to be given a minute. He would try to remove it himself. The boy stood before him, and magical energy sparkled in his palms. The hero decided that he had already dealt with this barrier, but still had a chance to do it again. In a second, he really broke through the barrier. The dragon addressed him by name, said that he unexpectedly had the opportunity to gain combat experience, and asked to find out where the monster was hiding now. The main hero paused for a moment in thought. He focused and said that now he understood everything. The monster was definitely behind. And as soon as they turned together, they were overwhelmed by fierce surprise. A huge sea serpent emerged before them. The serpent stretched out with an incredibly long body. The main hero asked in surprise why it was in a freshwater lake if its natural home was the sea. At that moment, the monster said that it had slept so well and peacefully, then asked what the man had forgotten underwater at night. The hero suddenly realized that the serpent also spoke the language of monsters, and aloud said he had come across another monster that speaks. The serpent warned, if he did not deal with the uninvited guest, the spirit of darkness would be displeased. Noah thought about the spirit of darkness and loudly asked who it was. The monster replied that it did not know itself, but it was better not to tease it. It appeared from nowhere and pulled him out of the sea. The main hero sincerely thanked him for sharing with them. The monster twitched in surprise and asked if a human could really talk to him. Nella replied that humans had been able to do so before. That is how decoding works. The hero looked seriously at the monster and said, I try to avoid unnecessary quarrels, so you won't let me just pass. The serpent asked if he had really asked to be let through, after which it refused and said it would rather eat him here. Fafnir noted that he probably had a bloodthirsty character not like his own. After this, the main hero used the skywalk skill and rose higher. This way, he broke free from the suffocating snake attack. At that moment, the dragon jumped off his shoulder and ordered him to go search for the flower. He would handle this enemy himself. The main hero tried to argue with him, but Fafnir asked if he really wanted to save this girl, and if so, not to waste time. Her body wouldn't last long. After that, the boy sincerely thanked him for the help and set a separate barrier for the dragon so that he could breathe freely underwater. The main hero said that Fafnir was now in an air curtain. Fafnir replied, rely on me, after which they parted ways. At that moment, the snake opened its jaws and grimly declared that Noah would not pass by him. He was already about to swallow him when the dragon threw fire into the sky and ordered him not to interfere. The main hero said that he would leave the rest to the dragon. The magical flower should be beyond this spatial crack. The boy said that he did not know where it led, but he would definitely get the magical flower, after which he dived straight into this crack. After a few moments, he was spun in the air. Strange patterns intertwined around him, and suddenly he found himself on the ground. The main hero stood up, looked around, and asked if it was really somewhere here. The sun shone brightly in the sky. The boy looked at the sky and whispered that he saw daylight. He was surprised. Could it be that he was teleported so far that the time zone suddenly changed? The main hero felt that something was wrong here. This space was crafted by magic. And suddenly a cry sounded nearby. The stranger woman cried bitterly and said that everyone had been captured. There were abrasions on her body, and large tears were streaming down her face. The girl said she did not know what to do, and the main character looked at her and decided. She seemed to be wounded. Then he applied his healing skill on her. The girl shuddered. He immediately apologized for frightening her and explained that he had simply used healing magic. The stranger blushed and said she was grateful. The main character replied that his name was Noah and that he was a young adventurer. It turned out that she was a fairy. He asked if she was really a fairy. She answered yes, and then she herself asked if he was really human. The main character also answered her affirmatively, sat on a stump, and said that his talent was deciphering. The fairy said that now she understood why he could talk to her, even though he was human. The boy replied that he had believed so himself, and she added, at first the fairies lived in the Lebelup forest. But suddenly an evil spirit of darkness appeared. It captured them and locked them in this space, and they struggled trying to break free in vain. Everyone except her is held in prison near that huge tree. Noah asked why they needed the spirit of darkness and what it intended to do with them. The fairy replied that she did not know herself and then asked him, why was he here at all? He desperately blurted out that he urgently needed to find a magical flower to heal a sick girl. The fairy said that magical flowers really do grow here. She sat on his head and with a serious expression said that there were some problems. Then they reached the tree and saw a cage for fairies was hanging on it. The main character looked at that scene and said it was terrible. He immediately rushed there to rescue them, but the fairy stopped him and warned, if he went further they would attack him. And suddenly a golem appeared before them like an unshakable guardian. And the fairy said that he would guard this place while the spirit of darkness was absent. The main hero said, it seems he needs to save the fairies and collect magical flowers, but first to defeat him. After that, Noah assured her, do not be afraid, I will definitely free your friends, and at that moment they all watched him intently. The main hero asked her to temporarily hide somewhere safe. The girl hesitated for a moment, agreed, thanked him, and quietly added, be careful. After that, the boy turned to the enemy and thought, to defeat him, one must rewrite the ancient symbols carved on his chest, but first he needed to wound and immobilize him. While he was devising a plan to deal with the enemy, the latter suddenly lunged at him. In this attack, the enemy trampled on a magical flower with his actions. After that, the golem rushed into attack and swung his hand, but the main hero skillfully used his ability and threw the sword into the air. The boy thought to himself, it was not in vain that he engraved the ancient sign of protection on his cloak. The power of Golem's attack was not childish at all. He had a very high level, and he should not take another such blow. After that, the main hero used the trajectory change skill and flew around the enemy, drawing a triangle. He placed magical seals at all the corners, then stepped on one of them and activated the skill Absolute Flame. A purple blade burst out from it. But just a few seconds later, when the effect disappeared, he saw the golem was standing as if nothing had happened. Doubt pierced him whether the Absolute Flame had not worked. After that, he decided to use his skill Magic Shot, a fairly powerful move meant to damage the enemy. At that moment, the fairy peeked out from behind a tree and watched him closely. And as soon as the smoke cleared, the golem had already returned to battle. It swung its hand to strike the main hero, and he immediately realized this was bad. The boy did not have time to dodge the enemy's fist hit, and he was thrown a good distance. Only then did he realize that this golem was made of mithril. He crashed his body into a huge boulder, small cracks spread around, and he remembered mithril, an ore that is impervious to magic. A spell might pierce it, but even if ancient enchantments are powerless, here they use the highest grade mithril. This giant cannot be defeated by magic. After that, the golem was again next to the main hero, and once more swung its hand to strike. Noah understood everything had gone awry. He decided to try spatial teleportation, but it did not work, and the monster's fist was already looming over his head. At that moment, he was literally blown away by the blow. His whole body jolted from the force of the hit. The boy clearly felt pain and was thrown far back. The main hero lay on the ground, his clothes in tatters, his body covered with bruises and abrasions. He looked at the golem and turned over in his mind how to defeat it. He thought about how to erase the symbols on its chest without turning himself into a mobile target, but finally waved his hand aloud. It won't work, there is a complete barrier there. The main hero decided that he could not get out of here until he defeated the golem. He failed to save the fairies and did not deliver the magical flower to Carl. The boy thought if he had combat talent, he would have found a way to defeat the enemy without magic. But he only had decryptions and ancient spells. After that, Noah got up and realized, even if they had not worked on Skalem, he had no other choice but to defeat it. Barely standing on his feet, the hero drew a magical seal, after which he used his skill Absolute Flame and then applied several more magical seals. He decided to change the formula to enhance the power of ancient magic. He would give all his strength to it, but it would break through his magical defense. The main hero felt he needed to decipher the ancient symbols to weave magic into each of them deeper than ever before. After that, Noah stretched out his hand in front of him. Despair froze on his face. He thought he would have to dive straight into the abyss itself. He would definitely return to Carl with the magical flower so as not to lose in such a place. The boy was extremely determined. But as soon as he dared to use his power, the space seemed to double in her eyes, and a small tongue of flame burst from her hand. He had no idea what was happening. Noah felt his head spin and the world swim before his eyes, and suddenly realized his magic reserve was exhausted. After that, he began to fall backward. At that moment, the golem let out a deafening scream, then approached and loomed over the main hero with its entire body. The latter was sitting on the ground. Blood was flowing from his nose. He had no strength to resist. The fairy froze in shock at what was happening. The boy thought it would end badly. He was already losing consciousness. And suddenly he heard the rustle of paper and immediately realized what the sound was: the turning of pages. When the main hero opened his eyes, a huge book was hanging in the air before him. He did not understand where he was, or where the column of guards was. He shifted his gaze to the book and thought that its lines were too ancient and confusing. There he read about composite material and mithril. Thanks to numerous formulas, the magical protection was brought to the limit, and something about a wizard and a spirit of darkness flashed by. Suddenly, the hero seemed to come to his senses, held his breath, and hung in thought about why there was so much information about that golem in this book. He rushed to the pages and began flipping through them to learn as much as possible. It seemed to him that she radiated incredible magical power, as if ancient magic lived within her. Her body, from head to toe, seemed to be enveloped in magical energy. He raised his index and middle fingers. Magic played around them, and a thought struck him. If this was true, he could rewrite her formulas. Then he began moving those same fingers over the pages of the book, reading about how to change the natural properties of mithril from anti-magic to those that facilitate the passage of magic, and his eyes seemed to be covered with mist. As soon as he read this information, the book suddenly closed. He had no idea why. Its title was inscribed on the cover: The Book of Peace. Over time, a voice began to break through his confused consciousness. It was calling him by name. It was a fairy. With her little hands, she tugged at his clothes and begged him to wake up. It was clear she was struggling. As soon as the main hero began to regain consciousness, he asked what was happening to him. The fairy immediately called him by name, frightened, and then he fully came to his senses and clarified whether he had really fainted. When he looked ahead, a golem was standing before him, roaring loudly again. At the same time, the fairy swore it would have been better if that hadn't happened, and she was carrying Noah on her back. After some time, they flew off to a sufficient distance. The girl confidently stated that now he definitely would not catch them. The main character said that she saved him from the monster while he was unconscious. The boy smiled, thanked her, and said that now everything was fine. The girl was extremely exhausted, saw him retreating, and with tears in her eyes shouted for him not to do that. The main hero thought he still had some magic left. But even the most powerful absolute flame did not affect him. It was clear how incredibly strong thoughts were raging in his head. The fairy pressed on. Mr. Noah must come to his senses and they need to run, but the boy was stubborn. He had already decided everything himself. The main character froze and stared at the golem. Doubt overwhelmed him. Was what he read in the book actually a dream, or maybe the book of the world itself was nothing but a dream? The boy thought he had never read or heard of such a thing. At that moment he activated the skill Air Cover, which he had already used on the fairy, and it was shocked by his actions. The girl asked what it was, but the main character was silent. Only one thought spun in his head. Would she really be able to make his magic work on the golem? He closed his eyes and said no, he would not be able to do it. You cannot shift the foundations of the world so easily. He stretched out his hand in front of him and was absorbed only by the book of the world. He prayed that everything would go well, even if his magical resistance weakened a little. Having said these words, he aimed a strike directly at the golem's chest. He watched the movement closely and thought it would be enough just to scratch the ancient symbol on its chest. But everything turned out completely differently than he had imagined. The monster before him shattered into pieces, and from the blow, a huge hole opened right in the center of its chest. The boy froze, stunned. The fairy, who was watching what was happening, smiled broadly and said it was incredible. The main character could not believe his own eyes. The changes in the book immediately came to life in reality. He dropped to one knee and thought that the keeper golem was completely neutralized. He looked at the remains of the enemy and assessed how much valuable mithril was there. The main character paused for a moment, wondering where such power in the Book of the World originated, then replied that now was not the time to think about it. He decided that all the golem's remains would lie in his inventory for now. He stretched out his hand and activated the skill. He began sucking all the remains into storage. The main character, with a determined look, said that he finally understood it, after which he shifted his gaze to the cage with the fairies. In a moment he approached, took her down from the tree, and with bare hands tore her from life so that the fairies could fly out. They looked at him with distrust because he was a stranger to them. When all the fairies flew out of the cage, a girl flew up to them and, pressing her palms to her heart, whispered that she was infinitely glad everyone was safe. The fairies smiled at each other and joyfully celebrated their rescue. The girl turned to the main character with tears in her eyes, said his name, and thanked him with all her heart. One of the fairies asked her if he was really a man, and the girl replied that there was no need to be afraid. Mr. Noah was very kind. It was then that the main character looked at the tree trunk. A new spatial rift had formed nearby, quite large. He looked closely and decided, now it was time to get out of here. At the same time, both his face and clothes were completely covered in dirt. He remembered his initial goal and told himself that only gathering the magical flowers remained. After that, he fell to the ground and immediately began searching. The main character's face was too focused. He combed through all the grass in search of his goal, and the fairies also closely watched his actions. The main character returned to one of the flowers. It was broken. He cursed and started looking for others, but quickly realized they were all broken. Holding one flower in his hand, he bitterly thought that the fight with the golem had dragged on too long and said, "All is lost, I won't be able to make the elixir." Despair froze on the hero's face. He glanced at several flowers. All were broken, not a single whole one remained. He shouted that without that flower he would not save Carl, then snapped at the question. Why, damn it, but he had ended up in this space at all. A familiar fairy was upset because of him and called him by name. Other fairies were also watching what was happening in the clearing. Later night came, countless stars shone in the sky, and the head of the slain serpent lay on the ground. Serena stood nearby, clutching a sword in her hands. Fafnir was nearby, and he grumbled that this monster made him sweat, and the girl added, "The serpent is suspiciously strong." She suggested that this spirit of darkness seemed to have fueled it with its magic. She hopes that the main hero is okay there. The dragon said that the spatial rift disappeared as soon as he passed through it, so now he cannot even catch up with them. Among the monsters, there are some on which magic does not work. Fafnir thought maybe he was wrong to let him go alone. He cursed himself and turned over in his mind what a lousy familiar he was. At that moment, the main hero appeared behind the girl. He was alive, apologized to them, and said he was late. Serena shuddered with surprise and fear. Then she asked the boy how he was, if he was safe. He replied that there was only a small scratch and it was already over. Fafnir said he knew he would return whole. The main hero said that he got out through this spatial crack. Meanwhile, Serena looked at him intently, quietly giggled, and said she understood everything. Suddenly her face changed. She became alert. The girl asked about the magical flowers. Did he manage to collect them? The main hero lowered his head. Sadness appeared on his face. He apologized to them and said that he did not understand them. Serena immediately asked what he meant, and he just waved his hand and said everything was fine. The girl clearly didn't get the point. After that, Noah turned to the dragon and, apologizing for such a request, asked it to lift them up. The dragon nodded in response and calmly explained that it would cause him no problems. Noah thanked him but bitterly admitted that his magic was exhausted and would no longer be enough for a spatial transition. After these words, he and Lady Serena sat on Fafnir's back end. All together they flew into the sky. The girl looked around warily. She was clearly afraid and clung to the boy so as not to fall. At that moment, the dragon turned to the main hero and asked if everything was really all right with them. After all, they still hadn't gotten the magical flower for which the whole journey was made. The main character smiled, said reassuringly that everything was fine, then turned to the stranger and added, "He can come out. The dragon is kind, so there is nothing to fear." Then the boy asked if he could ask him for a favor, and Fafnir inquired with whom he was corresponding and in what strange language he was speaking. Soon in the house of the Carla family, the husband with his wife and the doctor stood by their daughter's bed. The woman was holding her hand tight. The girl lay there, still unconscious. The father anxiously called his daughter Carla and begged her to endure a little longer. The mother was also frightened and called her by name. The girl was burning with fever, drops of sweat ran down her face. Carl assured that everything would be fine. Mr. Noah would definitely return with the magical flower. But at that moment the girl opened her eyes and called her father. It was clear that she had no strength left, but she barely smiled and said for them to look. There was a fairy in the room. Carl asked his daughter what she said. It was clear her words frightened him. He asked her to just hold on, everything will change soon. At that moment the girl's mother raised her head. She became curious about what her daughter was saying, and it struck her. She turned to the man, clearly upset by what was happening. He asked, "What happened?" Then the man also sharply raised his head, and at that moment he was struck. What he saw before him was slightly stunning. Right above everyone, almost touching the ceiling, there really hung in the air a tiny fairy with wings and in a strange costume. The girl addressed Carla by name, smiled, and asked if that was really her name. The fairy sits on the bed, and the girl's parents, eyes wide open, look in admiration at the tiny creature with transparent wings. Carla looks at the fairy and she, smiling, responds with her gaze. She tells the girl that it is time for miracles, and asks not to forget to thank Mr. Noah. The fairy came to Carla's parents and assured them, from now on everything will be fine. The girl's father could not believe his own eyes. It seemed to him as if it was all a dream. Countless fairies hover over the night city in beautiful dresses, with flower bracelets on their feet. The dark sky shines from the light pouring from the windows of the houses, like summer fairies who talk and laugh. Carlos's father looks out the window and sees hundreds of lights in the sky like tiny fireflies. Fairies fly straight to Noah and his companion. A dragon named Fafnir, perched on Noah's shoulder, notices. Where the fairies live, magical flowers grow. Noah is stunned. In a crowded city in broad daylight, fairies appeared, and he suspects that magical flowers are to blame for everything. The young man is convinced that he saved the fairies trapped in a spatial rift, so they decided to repay him to help him. The dragon looks at the fairies flying in the sky, pondering. Another trait of Noah's talent is the ability to decipher foreign languages, so for the hero, there are no racial barriers. He concluded that this is exactly what one should expect from someone who made a servant contract with him. Noah asks Fafnir what he is mumbling and exclaims, "It's time to start making the elixir." Ingredients appear on the table, and next to them the elixir itself in a glass vial. Happy parents tightly embrace their daughter Carla Chan. She suffered from the magical meridian hardening syndrome, but has finally recovered. The girl laughs with joy. The heroes are happy. The task is done. The girl's father turns to Nella, and not knowing how to thank him now, bows his head and sincerely thanks the young man several times. Noah asks him not to lower his head. The hero is sincerely glad that everything is now fine with Carla. The father tells his daughter that Noah cured her of the disease. The girl sincerely thanks him, and the young man only smiles. The head of the family turns to his wife and Carla. Noah painfully replays in his mind how his mother died shortly after his birth, and how his father never loved him, so he sees too much. Deciding that it would be rude to continue disrupting the family harmony, the young man tells everyone that he must leave. Carlos's father, with a friendly smile, asks Noah to sit with them for dinner if he doesn't mind. The hero says that Carla needs to recover from her illness faster. The girl replies, she no longer feels any discomfort and even feels better than before the illness. She wants a hamburger. Carla's family invites Lady Serena and others. They agree because everyone insists. Fafnir warns, despite his appearance he is herbivorous. They offer him white apple sand. The dragon loves them. The fairy states that she is also interested in human food. Noah is surprised she is still here. She flies into the air right in front of them and everyone laughs joyfully, looking at her. Noah thinks that this is a real family. Everyone gathered around the generously set table, ate delicious dishes, and chatted lively. Rank B quest to collect a magical flower completed. Noah says that he has fenced the entire forest with a barrier and now no spirit of darkness will enter here again. The fairies say that this is exactly what they expected from Mr. Noah. The fairy sincerely thanks the hero for everything he has done for the fairies, and says that Mr. Noah is now like the embodiment of a deity to them. They bow as a sign of gratitude and Noah shyly laughs. The boy waved goodbye to them, but the fairies asked him to return to their forest again. Mr. Carl thanked Noah for diligently completing the quest and congratulated him on his promotion to rank E. The hero responded with gratitude. The man hands the young man an award from himself, 5 platinum coins and a small box, as promised. Noah says he cannot take them, it's too much, and asks to leave them for the future Carlos. The man replies that he has already used them exactly that way. The girl's father takes Noah by the hands, looks him in the eyes, and asks, "Do not refuse the award, you have earned it." A crowd of people is gathering in front of the building. The young man sees that too many people have gathered today, Serena says that, if she is not mistaken, a famous archaeologist from Ludolf, the capital of the kingdom, is supposed to arrive. The girl says they need an adventurer. He will go with them to the east to explore ancient ruins. Noah asks again about those ruins. She sees that the young man is interested because she herself uses ancient magic. An unknown girl lamented about her despair so loudly that it was painful to hear. She says she came from afar from Ludolf, but even here she is constrained by ordinary adventurers, and she needs someone with truly unusual talent. Mr. Carl advises her to take a closer look at Noah. He introduces her to his hero as a very promising newcomer. She recently became an adventurer. The girl looked at the young man and asked what his rank was, and what the little dragon sitting on his shoulder was. Noah, smiling, tells her that he just reached E rank, and the little dragon on his shoulder is his familiar, with whom he made a minion contract. The girl turns away from him and declares that he is a scoundrel, and Mr. Carl is stunned by her decision. She insists E rank is not even counted, a group of B level is needed, or at worst C. The man tells her that Mr. Noah has experience in carrying out B rank missions, and the girl thinks he was just lucky. The boy asks Mr. Carl not to try to convince her. Mr. Carl is sorry to hear this, but he can do nothing. Lady Serena decisively stands up for Noah. She says his low rank is only because he is a new adventurer and asks if he has a chance. But the young man stops her and calls her by name. It turns out this girl knows Serena and she is also an A-rank adventurer, and this really threw her off. The girl says that in Ludolf there is even a fan group for her, because she is the youngest A-rank adventurer and a skilled swordswoman. Noah says that Lady Serena is indeed incredible. The heroine replies that it's nothing. The girl adds that she would really like to take her as an escort if she agrees. Serena apologizes and says she refuses. Leveling up is not in her plans yet, and ruins do not interest her at all, unlike Noah. The girl asks in surprise why she is defending a boy from the E rank. She thinks that he is Serena's boyfriend, so she holds such affection for him. Serena denies this assumption. She enthusiastically insists that Noah is incredible despite his rank, and vouches for him with her A rank. The heroine asks the boy how his wounds and magical power are. He has already fully recovered. They go out into the yard. Serena calls Noah to a fight. She explains there is simply no better way to prove his strength faster. The young man hesitates. The girl looks skeptically. She considers it absurd because there is a huge gap in strength between them. Everyone is stunned. No one knows who would even dare to fight this lady, and Serena encourages the hero. Do not hesitate, and hopes that Noah will not fight at full strength. The young man decided to reduce his fire power to sparring level, but he perfectly understood. Ancient magic, if it hits, can seriously injure a person. Serena flies into the air and calls Noah, "Try to hit me first." The girl strikes him with all her might. The heroine tells him not to be afraid. She hit him with a flat palm, although she assumes it must be very painful. The girl encourages him, continue the fight. This time the young man reacts first. Serena enthusiastically praises him for his brilliant reflexes, and adds that she envies his ability to soar in the air. The boy announces that it is now his turn to attack. The girl nods and he stretches out his hand forward. Serena knows this is Noah's special spell, Absolute Flame, and it's better not to get caught in it, because then it will not be so easy to get off him. The hero swiftly flies into attack, enveloping himself in blazing flames. The girl rushes to him, confused. The flame does not spread to her, it is frozen around him. The heroine watches as Noah disappears behind a curtain of fire, and makes a guess. She wonders if he has vanished, but quickly restrains herself. The hero will definitely take the opportunity and appear behind her. Serena was sure. The young man would sneak up on her from behind, appearing through a spatial transition. The girl rushes into attack, but to her surprise, Noah reads her move and activates the transition again. The young man admits that Serena is not so easy to defeat, and she says she lost without any chance. The girl shouts that she cannot believe her eyes. An E rank defeated an A rank. Hearing the applause of the crowd, the heroes remember they are being watched. The girl apologizes for her previous rudeness and tells Noah that she will gladly take him as an assistant in exploring the ancient ruins. The young man desires this very much, so he accepts her offer, and Serena sincerely rejoices for him. She thinks it is still too early to say goodbye, and the hero agrees with her. The girl says that it was a short but extremely valuable experience, as if she had entered a fairy tale. Noah replies that he knew almost nothing about the life of adventurers and learned a lot. Serena says she would not be surprised if next time they meet, the boy is already S rank or even a hero of the kingdom of Razdi. She asks Fafnir to take care of himself, and he responds in kind. Noah sincerely thanks his friends for their help and firmly shakes Serena's hand. The girl tells the hero that there is a magical transport outside the city they will set off to the ruins on it, and the young man agrees. Noah waved goodbye to everyone, thanked them warmly once again for their hospitality, and sincerely wished them luck. The heroes say goodbye. The young man and the girl head towards the forest. Mr. Carl, holding his daughter in his arms, looks sadly through the parting with Noah, and Serena sincerely wishes him success. An active volcano is visible above the treetops, and a column of smoke rises above the forest, stretching straight into the sky. Finally, the girl introduces herself to Noah. Her name is Yun, an archaeologist and engineer of magical devices in Ludolf, the capital of the kingdom. The boy in response also introduces himself and Fafnir. Yun says that it is rare to see a small talking dragon, and his frightening name really impressed her. Noah laughs, and finally they reach the transport the girl was talking about. The boy asks, is that the same magical transport Yun was talking about, and adds that he is seeing such a thing for the first time. The girl replies, this is a motorcycle, my pride and my joy. She asks if the boy is ready to set off. Gases burst from the exhaust pipe. Noah thinks that a jump to another dimension would take them there in a second, but he has always dreamed of traveling the world. The motorcycle tears forward, and the heroes set off on the road. They rush past tall mountains while clouds slowly drift across the sky. In the evening, Yun and Noah stop for the night and light a campfire. The next day, they finally reach the place. The young man was stunned by the grandeur of the ruins. Yun suggests starting the exploration immediately. The heroes enter the building and head straight into the unknown darkness of the corridor. They reach the ancient ruins east of Ludolf. Yun, with a burning torch in hand, leads their small procession and announces that as the group leader she will first teach Noah archaeology. The young man agrees. She tells him a valuable treasure in the ruins is protected by many traps, so he must be careful. The hero tells the girl that she was right, there really are traps here. Yun replies that she does that protects them. To test him. The hero tells the girl that she was right, there really are traps here. Yun replies that she does that protects them. To test him. Suddenly magical bonds appear from nowhere and wrap around the girl's arms and legs. She does not understand what it is or what is happening. Noah helps her and frees her from the bonds. Connections break and scatter in all directions, and Yun with a scream rushes straight into the arms of a young man. The hero thinks, this looks like some ancient weaving tool, and the girl insists on her own this is supposed to save her. She frowns, sparkling with anger. She has already been caught twice. Now Yun is determined to take on anything. The girl jumped onto Noah's back and firmly grabbed his shoulders, leading him forward. The hero says it's a bit hard to walk like this. The girl assures him she won't leave anymore, and Fafnir decides to go first. The heroes walk down the corridor, the familiar dashes ahead, and they enter an empty room. Noah calms him down. Everything is fine, there are no hidden traps in this room. Yun clings tightly to him because she trusts this guy. The hero says that the symbols on the wall caught his attention. The girl asks if he can read them by decoding. Noah replies that he can and leans in to look closely at the inscription. He deciphers the record. Someone's daughter is already grown up but eats without manners, and the father worries about her future because of this. Yun asks what to do about it. Noah says it's an ancient diary. He continues to analyze the symbols. It's a runic calendar, which the heroes hear about for the first time. According to the civilization calendar, this is the 779th year, so more than 779 years have passed. Yun suggests apparently an ancient people once lived here. Noah ponders. He reads about the harsh reality and that someone will have to go and defeat the turtle of dreams at any cost. And Noah wonders what kind of turtle is that. Yun insists, let's set out in search of the great treasure in the ancient ruins. The hero nods and they move forward. Having reached the end of the corridor, they came upon a dead end. The familiar Fafnir says that they have already bypassed and explored everything in these ruins, and the girl stands upset. They went so far and found nothing. Yun flies off Noah's back and tells him that most research on the ruins leads to nothing, so they decide to at least read the ancient records. The hero looked at the wall and suddenly noticed there was something else written on it. The inscription on the wall orders to get some book. Yun cannot figure out which one exactly, but still pulls a book out of her belongings. Noah asks what book it is, and the girl replies, it's her secret notebook. It has everything, notes on research and girlish details. Yun notices that nothing happens. The hero asks for a minute to think. Everything must be well weighed and thought out. He is sure it is about the Book of Peace. After that incident, he tried many times to get it, but it never appeared. The young man hopes it will appear right here, and intently imagines the pages of the book. The book emerges in the air, and Noah rejoices. Finally, he succeeded. He studies the symbols and tries hard to decipher the inscription about that ancient ruin and finds information. how many traps there are, where they are hidden, how to disable them, and a map of the ruins themselves. Noah reads in the book. Behind the wall hide stairs leading down. Using a magical spell, the young man removes the wall and puts a door in its place. The girl watches his skill with admiration as they both watch a passage form in the stone wall. Noah exclaims that now they can move on, and Yun behind him does not hold back a joyful scream. She asks him to stop for a second and explain how he did it. The hero says that words cannot convey it and calls the girl to continue her research. Yun notices a blazing flame. Noah explains that it is a torch ancient magic. Yun touches the surface of the walls, stunned that their structure is completely different from the ruins above. The civilization built by the ancients is considered much better than the modern one. Yun cannot believe his eyes, although he knows it is true. She excitedly exclaims that this is the discovery of the century. Noah thinks that it is simply incredible. The dragon Fafnir looks ahead in surprise. Yun asks what he sees and what else they might find, and the heroes are momentarily speechless. Right in front of them, an unfamiliar girl hovered in the air above a scatter of crystals. Eyes closed, hands pressed to her sides, and her cloak and long hair gently fluttering in the air. Yun was the first to come to her senses and asks her friends, "Is what is in front of them a doll?" Noah appeared right in front of the face of the girl who was floating in the air. The young man was sure that a person stood before them, but he felt a faint magic. The hero is stunned. He did not think such a thing was even possible. Noah stepped closer to the crystals and touched the magical mechanism. He says it allows stopping time. Suddenly everything was flooded with bright light, and the heroes were informed that access was granted. The mechanism rumbled and roared, and Yun still does not understand what is happening and why the device turned on. The girl shows signs of life and heads straight towards them. Unexpectedly for Noah, some strange girl fell right on him and knocked him down. He lifts her up himself and catches her, looking into her face. The young man notices the girl coming to her senses and breathes out with relief. The hero asks if she is okay. The girl replies in some unfamiliar language. He does not understand a word. Noah suddenly realizes that he is speaking another language and cannot help but curse. Suddenly the stranger attacks. Her foot hovers millimeters from the boy's face. She lands and immediately prepares to strike again. The girl bends down to the ground and crawls towards Noah. He listens to her words again and wonders who she is. The stranger bends unnaturally, presses her hands and feet to the ground, and continues to make some incomprehensible sounds. The hero suddenly hears singing. He decides that things are bad and asks Fafnir to protect Lady Yun. Noah and the girl lunged at each other at the same moment. They uttered a spell and absolute fire flared between them. Heroes stand opposite each other and push magic forward. Noah is stunned. He cannot comprehend that in the modern world there are still those who can use absolute fire. Due to the suddenness of the situation, the hero does not hold back and throws the girl away. He miscalculated his own strength. And he notices. She speaks an ancient language and instantly uses absolute flame. Noah suspects that she is one of the surviving ancients, and he sees no other explanation except that she knows that ancient language. The young man slowly approaches the girl lying on the ground, trying to assure her he is not an enemy. Suddenly she jumps up and wraps her legs around his neck. Noah realizes, in this state he will not be able to utter a single word. Fortunately, the hero's familiar rushed to help, unleashed all his power on the stranger, and tore the young man from strangulation. The hero approaches Fafnir, who has grown many times larger, and sincerely thanks him for the help. Yun looks admiringly at the giant size of the familiar dragon, and asks if he is the real Fafnir. The stranger is angry, and Noah tries to explain to her that they do not intend to harm her. The girl does not understand him. She guesses that she hears the language of runes, and before her stands the boundless blazing power of absolute flame. The stranger asks Noah if he is from the tribe of runes. Noah apologizes and says no, he does not belong to it. The hero asks Lady Yun for just a minute to try to explain everything to the girl. She understands him. The stranger asks if she understood correctly. She was sealed for a long time in a device that stops time. Noah adds that thanks to his gift of decoding, he speaks to her in one language. The girl recalls how during the war between humans and demons, her father forcibly made her come here. The hero again asks about the war with the demons. He only heard that once humans and demons waged a long, protracted war. The stranger asks how long she was sealed. Noah replies that there are so many of them that it is hard to believe, because the language and magic she uses are now called ancient, and the girl froze in amazement. She asks the young man to take her to the heavenly tower, and this request confuses him. The stranger explains, the observation tower is very close and built with runes, so that not even the flow of time can overcome it. She must see the world with her own eyes. Noah asks Lady Yun for permission to take the girl to the Heavenly Tower, and she only smiles and says that they already passed by it on the way here so she does not mind. The watchtower rises upward and its top touches the sky. Noah's girl surprisingly uses a spatial transition, and the heroes find themselves inside the tower. The stranger gazed into the distance and quietly said that from here you can see the entire kingdom of the Kirkshish runes. From the top of the watchtower, the girl gazes into the kingdom stretching all the way to the horizon. The heroes march into Ludolf, the capital of the kingdom, and stop by its fortress wall. Noah thinks that the royal capital is something extraordinary. Yuna carries him on her back again, and the familiar walks behind. The stranger snorted disdainfully and denied that Kirkshisha was much more amazing. The young man laughed quietly. They enter the city and stop on a narrow, crowded street packed with people. The girl is covered in drops of sweat. She angrily addresses Noah. There are simply too many people and shops here. The girl complains that she feels uneasy. In Kirkshish, everything was completely different. She presses closely to the young man as if seeking protection, and suddenly they are called. The girl is surrounded from all sides, whispering, "What a beauty! A doll." They have never seen such clothing and decided that the stranger is a foreign princess. Lady Yuna notices. The girl's origin immediately surfaced, and Noah adds that her clothing is too different from what is usual in the capital. He extends his long cloak with a hood to her and says that she will have to wear it for some time. Alexia thanks him. She feels much more comfortable in the mantle, and she suggests that maybe it is because of the runes carved on it. Finally, they reach Lady Yun's estate. The girl is beaming with joy, finally home. The maid meets her and is sincerely happy. The mistress has returned. The girl asks how the exam went this time. Yun answers that everything was not bad. She introduces the maid to her companions and says that she will stay with them for some time. Yun warns her, the girl is a foreigner so she should be treated gently. The maid understands everything. She asks the girl for permission to take off her clothes. But the girl does not understand her, so Noi explains to Alexia that she needs to take off the robe. She says she is hungry. Yun laughs as if to say now he understands that she herself said it. She decides first they will eat. The heroes stepped over the threshold of the dining room, a large set table spread out before them. The maid asks Noah if he has any special requests and he briefly replies, no. Sitting at the table, the hero asks Alexia if she has any preferences regarding food. She replies that she does not. The maid says that is good and asks them to wait a little. The young man recalled with sorrow how long ago the time had passed when the servants still treated him well. They bring them dishes that look incredibly appetizing. Lady Yun states that this is their chef's signature dish and wishes the guests a good meal. The maid brings a basket of apples for Fanfear and he looks at it with love and gratitude. Noah tells Alexia that they can start eating. Armed with a fork, she is determined to try what lies on the plate. The girl fiercely stabs the fork into a piece of meat. Noah and Ewan do not take their eyes off Alexia. She dials the number and bites off a piece of food. Tearing off a piece of meat, she begins to chew, enjoying every flavor. Watching Alexia, Ewan concludes that in some moments she even eats primitively. Suddenly the girl froze, raising her eyes from the food. She remembers manners and apologizes to everyone at the table, and Noah gently reassures her there is no need to worry. If the food is so delicious, why hold back? Alexia admitted that her father often got angry because of her. The young man nodded. Royal families are indeed strict when it comes to such things. And he added that if the girl wants, he can teach her. Alexia agrees and Noah assures her it's simple. He gently adjusts her hand, shows how to hold the utensils and encourages her. She cuts off a small piece and puts it in her mouth. The heroine says she feels great. Alexia replies that it tastes even better that way. Noah smiles and asks the maid to bring a loaf of bread. He shows that it can be cut and filled with meat and vegetables inside. The boy presents the finished dish. The freshly made sandwich looks incredibly appetizing. He says that it is much easier to eat everything together, and Alexia agrees to try. Yun can't resist. The sandwich looks incredibly tasty. And seeing how Alexia eats with such appetite, he decides to make the same for himself. The girl says that now she needs to wash up. Noah thanks her and turns to Alexia. She can go wash up. Lady Yun calls the girl to follow her. She takes her by the hand and they walk down the corridor. The young man, stepping back, wishes them luck. Fafnir senses his unease and asks why the hero is not going with them, but Noah just laughs in response. In the bathroom, the girls undress and put their clothes into baskets. Then they approach the huge bathtub. Alexia speaks in an ancient language, and without Noah Yun's help, she understands nothing at all. Even Alexia does not grasp what that girl is saying. Yun calls her an old woman and asks her not to get too carried away. Without glasses, the girl sees unclearly and something frightening flashes in Alexia's gaze. but Alexia thinks she is just taking a bath, so there is no need to talk to her. Lady Yun points to a bottle of shampoo and says something again. The girl assumes that she is asking her to start washing. Alexia, watching Yun wash her hair, recalls that in Kerchishi there was instant magic of cleansing runes. The girl stares and does not understand why Lady Yun is all covered in fluffy foam and what bubbles are swirling around. She decides some kind of modern witchcraft and also senses a pleasant smell. Yun points to the shampoo again, squeezes some onto her palm and shows Alexia how to lather the body, and the girl immediately understands that this is a washing agent made from recycled plants. Evan looks admiringly at Alexia's smooth skin and calls her the princess of an ancient kingdom. She laughs, and the girl again does not understand her after all. Noi had translated everything for her. Alexia considers Yen an arrogant woman and reminds her that she is the princess of an ancient kingdom. Yun thinks that she is not the kind of girl who would hold back from such words, but something about her own emotionless face worries her. Alexia, however, thinks there is no need to talk in the bath. The girls sit in the bath, foam enveloping them from all sides. Yun thinks how tired she is. Not understanding another language is very inconvenient. Alexia and Yun simultaneously blurt out some indistinct phrase and look at each other. They sat silently in the bath for a while longer. Finally, they get out of the water. Wrapped in towels, they look into the mirror. Putting on glasses, Yun shows Alexia a hairdryer and calls it a magical thing for drying hair. She turns it on, and Alexia feels warm air blowing from the dryer and holds her hands under it. Alexia is stunned. She would never have thought that flying things could be used like that, and June thinks that this ancient civilization is frightening. Meanwhile, evening quietly falls, and when the girls come out of the bath, Noah asks how the bathing went. Yun and Alexia, in long nightgowns with ruffles, smile and say it was tense, but they managed. The young man is happy to hear this. Noah feels as if the girls have truly become closer to each other. He tells Alexia that without communication skills, she will feel very uncomfortable. The hero advises her to learn modern languages, and the girl sincerely promises to try. Yun asks if she will be able to learn to understand the ancient language, and the young man firmly says that with her erudition, it will definitely succeed. He believes that people from different eras can understand each other, and Fafnir agrees with him. The girls ask Noah in chorus to bathe with them next time, and he laughs and refuses. The boy returns to his father and says that thanks to his talent for deciphering, he can read such a difficult book. With shining eyes, the child says that it also helps him understand many languages, so the skill of deciphering is clearly underestimated. The father asks, and what is the benefit of this? He swings at the boy, and the boy, with fear in his eyes, clearly understands. He will hit again now. The child begs not to be beaten and swears to be obedient and do everything the father says. Noah suddenly wakes up in the middle of the night from a nightmare, not understanding why exactly today he unexpectedly dreamed of childhood. Fafnir is peacefully sleeping on his pillow. A new day has dawned, and everything in the estate goes as usual. Noah and Alexia sit next to each other at the table. The girl says in modern language that she will eat bread and a white apple, pointing to the food lying before her on the table. Alexia carefully bites off a piece of bread. The young man praises her for understanding modern language much better. The girl says it is because Noah is a good teacher. Noah laughs and replies that it is all thanks to Alexia's efforts. She asks the young man to stroke her head. He did not expect such a request, but decides that the girl deserves it and gently strokes her. Noah praises Alexia, saying she is a good girl and she is happy. She promises, "I will try." The hero freezes with the thought, did her father stroke her the same way? For a moment, Noah again catches that look in his father's eyes from the nightmare. Alexia, noticing the change in his mood, asks if everything is okay, and he assures her that it is. Noah calms her, says everything is fine and there is no need to worry, and he himself sets off to the guild to officially register Alexia as an adventurer. The girl asks him what an adventurer is. Noah explains, it is a jack of all trades who can do everything, anything, whether gathering or fighting. He assures her that she will be able to learn a lot about the modern world and most importantly start earning money. Alexia says she is by no means against being with Noah, and the young man asks Yun about her plans. She is deeply immersed in creating a new magical instrument. Fafnir says that her concentration during work is simply incredible and explains, the girl is now trying to redirect the power of runes. They decided not to distract Lady Yun from her affairs, so they went to the guild without her. The heroes are walking to the Adventurers Guild in Ludolf the Fell. Alexia registered and received a certificate that she is a rank D sorceress. It seemed to her that everything was too simple, and as she imagined, she spoke quite foolishly. Noah says that Lady Yun had written a recommendation letter in advance and Alexia was immediately assigned rank D. The girl is delighted with Yun and considers her a wonderful person, and the hero was also promoted to D. Fafnir believes that Noah's skills deserve rank S. The young man reminds him, rank can only be increased by one attribute at a time, and Fafnir decides it's time to return home. Alexia's stomach is growling. She tells Noah that she is hungry. He suggests heading to the market. Her idea was liked and she suddenly rushed forward like a whirlwind, catching up with the boy. Alexia says that after dinner she and Noah will take a bath. Noah refuses. He says he will never set foot there. Then Fafnir offers himself to the girl. The hero says that he just started divining the gender of his familiar. Nola makes another attempt and simply loses the power of speech. Suddenly a tall man in a long black cloak appeared before them and blocked the way. His silhouette was reflected in Noah's pupils. Suddenly the young man recognizes in him his father, the one he did not expect to see here at all. The hero asks him, "Why are you in the capital of the kingdom?" Alexia looked closely at the man's face and immediately understood before her was Noah's father. He says that all explanations will come later and they urgently return to the estate. Noah reminds his father that it was he who drove him out of there and the father sharply orders, "Shut up and listen." The man firmly grabs the boy by the hand. Fafnir is ready to rush to defend his friend. Noah tells his father that he will not return. He says that now he has his own affairs. The father lets go of his Hondond. Suddenly everything becomes clear to him. He declares decisively, in that case he will take it back by force, and a magical fireball flares up in his hands. Noah becomes a shield for Alexei and Fafnir, warns them of danger, and introduces them to his father. According to the young man, the man surrounded by spheres of fire is the most powerful fire mage. The father simultaneously throws all the fiery balls at the sun, and the sun catches them all and the father is stunned. Noah raises a magical barrier before him and all the bullets hit it. He calls it ancient magic. His father freezes in amazement as soon as he sees the purple fire, is sure that Princess Claudia was telling the truth. The man asks his son if he found the ancient grimoire and Noah answers, yes. The man suspects, thanks to Noah's deciphering, he mastered ancient magic from grimoires. He orders him to return to the estate and become the next head of the family, but the young man categorically refuses. Noah refuses because his father sees only talent in him, and that man does not understand what he is talking about. He does not understand what exactly is wrong. Aldiheims is a prestigious family of wizards, and for them talent is above all. The young man remains silent in response to his father's words, and Fafnir ominously settles on his shoulder. He says he did not want to cause a riot in the kingdom's capital, but in this situation he will have to do it anyway. He unleashes a storm of magic on his son again. Noah, turning around, notices Alexia. Her hands are outstretched. He asks what is wrong with her. The girl is afraid that the man will hurt Noah and begs the young man, "Do not hold back, do not mind that he is his father." The man looks threateningly at Alexia and says that she is a disgusting little girl. Suddenly the ground rumbled beneath their feet, and without taking his eyes off his father, Noah shouted loudly, "Earthquake." Everything subsides as quickly as it begins. Frightened residents run out of their doors and ask each other if everything is all right. They wonder why it shook so violently. The man threatens Noah that he will definitely bring him back and warns his son, "Do not try to escape, it will not work anyway." Watching his father walk away, the young man quietly calls him. Then he turns to Alexia, thanks her, and apologizes for his father. The girl seems not to hear him. She is lost in her thoughts. Fafnir asks if he felt the same as Fafnir himself, and Noah confidently says yes, while far away a source of immense magical power is already flashing. A huge monster with giant spikes on its shell has appeared in the kingdom. The girl quietly tells Noah that it is the turtle from the dreams. Alexia is stunned. She cannot believe that it still exists in this modern world. Suddenly, a monster of incredible size appeared in the east of the royal capital, and it is already heading here. In the ancient ruins, records were found in them. It was called the Dreaming Turtle. Lady Yun appears before the royal family in the royal palace and tells them about the monster. The princess is horrified, and the king promises to subdue the dream turtle with the full power of the Razde kingdom. He decisively orders the Night Order to urgently form a squad of mages and immediately summon all adventurers of rank D and above. The king orders to inform other adventurer guilds that it is nearby. Mr. Carl and Serena learned. His Majesty wants as many adventurers as possible to be brought to the royal capital Ludofa. Yun tells Alexia and Noah that she can hardly believe it. Almost everyone has been alerted. The girl rejoiced. The heroes immediately felt the presence of the dream turtle. At its speed, it will reach the capital in 3 days, so in 2 days they will start to subdue it. Yun says she will go to the castle and work on the strategy there, relying on information from Alexia. Meanwhile, they can use the estate as they wish. Alexia asks her not to exhaust herself and to rest. The girl waves goodbye to them and leaves. The maid sadly tells Noah and Alexia, "I'm sorry, but you have also been ordered to evacuate." The girl notices how the city quiets down. Now only soldiers and adventurers remain in the capital, those who will take part in the cleanup. Noah suggests resting a bit. In his opinion, it is better to conserve their strength before the decisive battle. The girl agrees with him. They say goodbye at the bedroom door. The young man wishes her good night, but Alexia stops him, calling him by name. She asks if she can sleep with him tonight. The three of them settled on the bed: Noah, Fafnir, and Alexia. The girl looks into his eyes and apologizes. She says that since the appearance of the dream turtle, memories of the past constantly chase her. It frightens her so much that she cannot fall asleep. Noah understands. He looks at the familiar. He is sleeping a dead sleep without a care. Alexia asks the young man if he has a bad relationship with his father, and Noah answers yes, and wants to explain everything to her. He confesses. He comes from the Aldheim family, a respected magical family that disowned him because of his useless talent. The girl thinks it would be wonderful if they could understand each other. Noah says that everything is much more complicated than it seems. Alexia begs him to promise her that he will not die. She says that she knows well how strong he is, and the Turtle of Dreams is an unusual enemy, and even in Kirkshish he had no equal. Noah promises her that he will not die, he will defeat the Turtle of Dreams. The girl nestled against his chest, he gently strokes her head. Alexia falls asleep, and he is already thinking about how to finally fall asleep himself. The young man realizes that he needs to pull himself together, because the Turtle of Dreams is probably the strongest of his opponents. He wonders whether his father will take part in the pacification as an ally, and if so, it encourages him. Finally, all three fall asleep, and the bedroom sinks into silence. Finally, morning has come at the Fafnir estate. Alexia and Noah are awakened. The young man asks what happened. He fears that the movement of the turtle in the dream has changed. The dragon says it is already past noon and asks how much longer he plans to sleep. Noah shouted he did not expect it to be so late. Suddenly he remembers, today they need to be at the garrison. The young man tells Alexia to wake up and change clothes. The girl sleepily rubs her eyes. She begins to change, and Noah with his familiar is already leaving the room. The hero asks if she was not worried at all if on the eve of the decisive battle she slept so soundly. The girl flinches and sharply replies that he himself snores like a pig. Fafnir says, the main thing is they made it in time. Meanwhile, in the east of Ludolf, the garrison stands still to calm the phantom turtle. Alexia cannot believe her eyes, so many people here. Noah says that people from the surrounding towns are also coming. Some of those present look incredibly strange, and acquaintance suggests that these are most likely S-rank adventurers. There are only 12 of them in the kingdom of Razdi. Fafnir has a question for Noah. The familiar says, in this battle, it is uncomfortable for him to fight in the form of a small dragon, and in front of such a crowd, he cannot take his true form. He disappears into the tent, and suddenly surprises his friends with an unusual shadow. The heroes freeze. Fafnir has turned into a human and a woman at that. And the familiar laughs, saying that in this form he can easily let loose, adding, the concept of gender does not exist for him at all. All adventurers were given a strategy manual in case of an emergency quest. Noah thinks he should review it. Alexia asks, what is written there? Fafnir says he has no idea, and the young man clarifies. The forces involved are divided into three main groups. The first strike group, knights of the Razdi army, and a squad of mages. The hero says that behind them comes the second strike group. It includes themselves, adventurers of the capital Ludolf, and those who arrived from the surrounding towns. The last line of defense, court mages and S-rank adventurers. Alexia asks why they cannot attack immediately, and Noah replies, it is better to entrust the army's command. The hero says that his father's name is among the commanders of the last squad, and thinks with relief. He is lucky they are in different groups, so the chance of running into him during the mission is very small. NOAA also adds that various mechanisms will stand in the way of this dream turtle. Fafnir thoughtfully considers what they managed to prepare in such a short time, and how much longer others will withstand against this monster. Alexia admits that she never thought she would have to fight him again on this very land, and asks her father and the people of Kirkshish to take care of them. The girl swears that this time she will definitely defeat the dream turtle. Noah suggests for now to put things in order. Tonight they will sleep in the tent. The princess warmly thanks Noah's father for participating in this mission, and apologizes for that day. Mr. Hildegund believes that at such a young age Princess Claudia will find it difficult to take His Majesty's place, and she, fearing for her father, does not want anything bad to happen to him. The man is sure. Noah is also involved in that extraordinary mission, and by proving himself, he will definitely attract Claudia's attention. With fiery determination, he told the princess that he wants to be in the front lines of the battle. She only smiled and replied, Mr. Hildegand is extremely brave, but with his skills, he is suited not as a private, but as a commander. The next day battle time, the knights stand ready, gripping their armor. The Razdi knights have met on the field. A cannon shot thundered. This is the signal. The emergency mission begins, the battle with the Dream Turtle. The battle has already started. The Phantom Turtle is on the battlefield. Refugees reach the temporary shelter on the outskirts of the kingdom's capital. A child asks her mother, is that bad monster trying to destroy our home? And the mother calmly replies, don't be afraid, the strong Raz soldiers will defeat it. The mother reassures her daughter, promising, everything will be fine. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, the cannons were aimed at the maximum angle, and shells fell one after another on the monster. The commander is reported, nothing works, the turtle does not stop moving. He sharply orders the soldiers to calm down and continue shooting, and he himself wonders what kind of defense it has. The monster is getting closer, and the soldiers clutch shells in their hands ready. The Phantom Turtle attacks, the commander orders a retreat. The giant monster drove the army into a panic flight, destroying everything in its path. They were urgently informed. The turtle has almost reached the second line of defense, prepare for battle. The heroes are already ready for battle and finally glad to fight back against the monster. The Phantom Turtle will appear on the horizon any moment now. They report that there are almost no shells left. The defensive barrier is damaged and order was given to regroup. The soldiers think everything is in vain, they cannot hold the front line. And when the approach of the end is already spinning in their heads, it is ready to drive them into despair. They press the commander again and he only grits his teeth. The man loudly orders everyone to attack, and the soldiers immediately obey his order. They rush at the monster, defending the country, comrades, relatives, everything dear to them, even at the cost of their own lives. The Phantom Turtle so gigantic that against its background the soldiers look like tiny grains of sand. Alexia sincerely thanks the brave warriors of this era for their courage and pride. She rises into the air and promises the surprised soldiers that they will not die in this battle. The girl envelops the army with a magical barrier, like a protective dome. She attacks the monster and shouts to the soldiers, retreat quickly. Alexia warns this giant is already very close. The Phantom Turtle is already here, and the girl orders everyone to run right now. The soldiers are silent, confused. Noah does not take his eyes off Alexia. The hero returned to the Turtle of Dreams. He says that because of her, all the inhabitants of Kertshish died, including Alexi's father. The young man raises a magical tornado and rushes to attack the monster. The soldiers are stunned and do not understand where this tornado came from, while Alexia and Fafnir look at Noah. The hero shouts, because of Alexia's turtle, he was left completely alone. The young man calls the storm blade. He again rushes to attack the Phantom Turtle. Noah sends blow after blow to the monster. Alexia does not believe that after such an attack she really has not a single scratch. She was defending herself, hiding in her shell. The girls, stunned, watch as the turtle continues to withstand blow after blow. Noah suggests that the Dream Turtle's shell can absorb magic and shoot it back. Alexia warns the young man. One can protect oneself from the monster's fire, but she herself is a formidable opponent. The hero no longer sees the point in continuing. Everything happens exactly the same, he thinks, as with that mithril golem. Noah understands. Only changing the Dream Turtle with the help of the Book of Peace remains. He asks Alexia and Fafnir to distract the Dream Turtle. A little he has a plan to defeat her. The hero tells them in a simple voice. The problem is that for some time he will not be able to move. They ask Noah to trust them. The young man sincerely thanks them. He begins to implement his plan. Alexia and Fafnir exchange glances. The girl anxiously asks Noah about that magical attack from behind. The hero replies that he is fine. The boy asks both to take from the Dream Turtle. Noah feels a familiar figure behind him and does not understand why it appears at such an inopportune moment. The father decisively says, this young man must disappear here and now. The hero immediately sees. The opponent is in a cloak soaked with protective magic. He says in surprise that this is an old thing, though outdated compared to modern magic. The boy decisively orders to activate the third level of flame, the fiery whip, to protect against the attacking hero, and demands that the flame turn into a whip and restrain the enemy. The boy shouts to his father to stop. Now is not the time to attack, but his words fly in and bounce off dully. The father cuts off. He doesn't care about the Dream Turtle or what will happen to the kingdom's capital. The man says he has no time for them now, and the hero intensifies the attack with absolute flame. and here the enemy responds with ice technique and raises an ice wall. Noah sharply releases a magical shot, intercepting the enemy's attack absolute flame that goes beyond attribute compatibility. He shouts about this flame and enhances his technique to the 6th level of flame. The enemy counterattacks, casting the powerful spell Lava Meteor and aiming for a devastating strike. The wizard freezes in amazement. The hero's power is stunning. He never expected such a worthless talent to match his might, and believes this power will not reach the Uldheim family. He worries if it becomes known that the boy was expelled, it will ruin their reputation and perhaps he will even be stripped of his title. So he is ready to pay any price. He realized, if he refuses to return home, he will have to stop this unless he decides to erase the very existence of his son, Noah Uldheim. The son addresses the enemy and saying father with bitter mixed feelings firmly declares, I will not return home and will not allow anyone to deal with me. The hero insists. The decision is already made. He intends to defeat the dream turtle. The boy honestly admits he does not want to fight the enemy, but circumstances force him to act. The boy explains that he had no choice, and that is exactly what only hardened his determination. The father caught the serious look of the hero and, surprised, immediately called his son by name. The enemy exploded with indignation, accusing the hero of impudence, saying that he dared to call him father. The son barely utters, it's already too late to pretend to be the father. His voice trembles, a struggle rages inside, and the emotional tension cuts the nerves. The father exclaimed in shock that he disappeared and added, this is the magic of teleportation. The man with black hair and mustache sharply cut in, I won't let the hero escape, you brat. Noah firmly states that he is not going to run away or hide, and by this shows determination and readiness to continue the confrontation. The boy got angry and abruptly demands that the hero stop picking on him, threatening grimly about the consequences if he does not let go. The father shockingly reminds that he is his biological father, and cannot believe that the son really intended to deal with him. The main hero sighs heavily and says goodbye to his father, showing his pain and determination. The girl asks another how she feels, and she confidently says that everything is fine. They pronounce the name Noah in a special way. The boy apologizes to the other characters for being late. Noah resolutely decided, now they are ready to challenge the Turtle of Dreams. The girl asks about his father. He answers that he no longer has a father. The heroine exclaims in surprise, I attack. The hero says, you two distract the enemy for a few moments, and meanwhile I will find the perfect defense and show how to deal with him. They agree to help, and every step they take proves they are ready to see the matter through to the end. The sorcerer stubbornly reaches as close as possible to the Turtle of Dreams to achieve his goal, and everyone immediately offers help and joins him. Someone asked themselves, can he handle that monster alone? Another person replied that such people usually use monsters for their own purposes. The heroes prepare for battle, and one of them says that it is time to start fighting the dream turtle. Noah sincerely admits that he should have completed the task himself, but now understands how important teamwork is. Others support him and declare that they are ready to defend. The boy finally realizes how serious everything is, and decisively sets about implementing the plan to change the situation. They say this is the headquarters. They are calming the sleepy turtle. The girl asks embarrassedly what is happening at the front. Someone shouts that the second line of defense is being broken through now. They say a few incredibly strong adventurers slowed down the progress of Gray the turtle. The girl in glasses confidently says that those unusual adventurers are Noah and his team, and asks to support them with the entire army. The hero resolutely swears he will not allow the enemy to break through the last line of defense. The leader shouted that it is necessary to gather the adventurers who came as reinforcements, and the S-level adventurers should take combat positions. They also mentioned using magical devices to strengthen the defense. The hero is deciphering a text with strange symbols and assumes it is a cipher. He is convinced that such protection is perfect, but the current matter does not resemble what happened in the situation with the Guardian Golem. The boy decides to try to read the text, relying on his talent for decoding codes, and says that now he understands its meaning. The boy thinks that if he rewrites the excerpt about the turtle shell from the dream, Noah begins to doubt whether he made a mistake when he changed the text. Suddenly, the main hero realizes it is necessary to change all the symbols to solve the defenses of the Turtle of Dreams. He says that he spent hours sitting in the library studying ancient codes. The hero declared that he is ready to tirelessly decipher ancient grimoires. The sorcerer is confident. For him it is a trifle, he will decipher everything. The girl snorted irritably and said that the hero is the real problem because of his persistence. The soldier insists that it is necessary to strike the enemy's unprotected areas, concentrating all blows in one point. The heroine says that she does not know who she is, and now their hope the girl with horns must focus all magical support on her. Because magic still does not work on the Turtle of Dreams, so she asks not to spare strength. She believes that those with whom she previously feuded have come to her aid. The monster reacted angrily to being underestimated and admitted he was too soft. He repeatedly insists that it is because of the time he spent in prison. People understand. At such a moment, one cannot hesitate because of appearance. The monster asks Noah to forgive him. The enemy announces that he has returned again to his evil form. The soldier, stunned and shocked, shouts, "This cannot be," and recalls the distorted disaster dragon Fenrir. Someone warns the opponent, "Do not be too confident, I know what you are capable of." Two warriors anxiously whisper about the situation and immediately cut off. Now is not the time for talk. They are shocked at how the girl revealed incredible abilities, even comparing her to the legendary creature Fafnir Sublige. They say that despite all difficulties he will cover as long as Fafnir opposes the Turtle of Dreams, even if it requires incredible effort. The girl reflects on what is happening, notices the magical power he is using. Noah is now trying to rewrite something and asks Fafnir to forgive her for having to endure this. Before their eyes appears a book titled The Book of Peace. They say it is the highest power created by the King of Runes, and it can even change the laws of this world. They say the Book of the Rune heritage ended up in the hands of a person who did not belong to their people. The enemy nods with disappointment at what he thought. After the last war, he got rid of all the people of the Rune, and the girl is sure this time it is also his doing. The heroine shouts to the enemies, "Don't touch Noah." The monster demands that they step back. It will not allow them to use the power of the people's rune book again. And he firmly states that Noah must solve this right here. The girl resolutely declares that she will protect the boy. She can no longer endure the loss of dear people. The monster snorts and says that the rune people never learn anything and do not understand why it takes them so long to resist him, and adds that they should join their allies. The enemy warns, no one should interfere with his power, the darkness he calls it. The heroine, worried about the young man, asks him to hurry. The hero fiercely rustles the pages, biting into the books in hopes of finding at least a drop of information or a solution to this situation. They say that the old man with a beard, a sharp hat, and a staff is the legendary Archmage Lawrence himself, and the one in black is a professional who deals with dragons. His name is Siegfried. They say that the estranged Misei is with the king of beasts, Fenrir. The girl mumbles that as an elf she doesn't care about what is happening in the royal capital. The wolf turns to her and asks, not to say it so loudly. She proudly calls herself an S-rank adventurer from Hackvilla, the neighboring duchy of Aledo, where the Familiars Guild stands, and claims that she earned the S-rank not through the party, but solely thanks to her familiar. The character with ears notices how many impressive personalities have gathered here. Another heroine also decides to show herself from the best side, and someone asks if she is the A-rank adventurer Serena herself. The hero imagines that Noah and others are probably already fighting on the front line. She says that the squad is working without rest. The girl replies, "Clear, the future of the kingdom of Razd depends on the circumstances." A child calls out, "Your Highness Claudia." The girl recognizes another character, exclaims in surprise, and thanks Yuna for the hint. The man waved off the thanks and said that now is not the time for that. Yuna says that the Dream Turtle is about to break through to the last line of defense. Thanks to the front lines, they managed to buy time. And she warns Claudia about the worst-case scenario, advising immediate evacuation. Serena says she will stay in place after all. The people on the front line are fighting bravely, so she has nothing to worry about. The heroine reminds, she is a representative of the king, and her departure could shift the course of events, because the soldiers' morale will sharply falter if she leaves. She confidently declares, "The Dream Turtle will definitely be defeated. We will not lose." The warrior notices, even in such a situation, the princess's heart will not flinch from the dragon's roar and resolutely vows to stand by her until the very end. The girl sincerely thanks him for the support, and with anxiety admits that she is afraid of losing contact with Mr. Hildegard, who has gone to the front. Her Highness Claudia sincerely hopes that everything is now fine with the man. The knight calls Mr. Hildekend and interrupts. His comrade-in-arms must immediately set off in pursuit of the winged dragon. The man does not understand how he ended up here. The soldier gladly says that fortunately he is alive. He says that the gentleman was wounded during the operation to tame the Dream Turtle. The fighter says that it seems he only fainted for a moment, and his body miraculously did not suffer serious damage. The hero sincerely apologizes for the trouble caused, and the man replies that Mr. Hildegund is their great asset. He feels as if he has forgotten something very important, He is stunned and overwhelmed by a strange sensation. The aristocrat notices a mantle with ancient inscriptions, freezes in surprise, and tries to remember where he has already seen this mantle. He is sure that he has seen this mantle somewhere before, but cannot recall any details. He feels nauseous. His head is tight, and it feels as if something is crawling inside him. The hero is certain he needs to find out whose cloak this is. He feels that this knowledge is extremely important to him. Someone asks the hero if he is okay. The man nods. Yes, everything is fine, just a slight headache, but he does not consider it serious. He realizes that now is not the time to think about a headache and firmly says, the dream turtle must be dealt with as soon as possible. And he decides to take the winged dragon. Another character anxiously points out, the hero has not yet fully recovered from the injury. Mr. Hildegund insists on his decision, and, ignoring the concerns of those around, orders the dragon to take off. The hero notices powerful magical waves bursting from the shell of the Turtle of Dreams. The enemy claims that the hero is the last representative of the Run people, and intends to deal with him. The man activates the 7th level of light, and rushes into battle against the manifestation of evil. The girl anxiously asks if he is okay, and with surprise says that he still has not resolved his relationship with his father. The character admits they have met before in the royal capital. Noah's father angrily asks why she came here and decisively cuts off, let the rest remain with him. And the heroine notes with surprise he is no longer the man he once was. The girl feels he has changed, no longer the man she knew. She thanks him for the help but fearfully asks herself whether his attitude toward his son has changed. The traveler calls to unite efforts to protect the main hero. Mr. Hildegund asks, is the one standing behind her Noah? The heroine is stunned. Why is he asking again who this boy is? After all, he is his own son. The man, shocked by the news about his son, says that his head hurts again. The hero says that he no longer has a father. The girl looks at him with surprise. She sees how Noah casts a memory-erasing spell on the father and understands. He decided to erase all memories of himself to save him. The monster grumbles, calling what is happening a pathetic parody of itself, and the man and the girl notice. This is the spirit of darkness that survived even after a direct hit by a 7th level spell. The heroine is confident. She is the main villain, the very one who summoned the Turtle of Dreams. She sympathizes with the young man and says she feels very sorry for him. The heroes decide to explain themselves and together overcome the spirit, and the father decides to lend them his strength. The girl thanks him and quietly says that the memories erased during the memory deletion will never return. He admits that he also became lonely just like she is now. The monster insists, the number changes nothing, no, there are 2 of them. Mr. Hildegund asks if that boy is his son, and thinks he has never heard anything more absurd in his life. He notices that this name somehow seems familiar to him. The hero says that this name sounds familiar and calls for help, begging for protection. The man raises fire magic before him, bursts a level 7 flame shield that protects against attack. He sees how the main hero tries to break through the enemy's perfect defense, and pours huge streams of magical power into the dream turtle. They say that in such a state, even the wizard himself is in danger without any protective magic. So one can only wonder why the people around the hero did not teach him the basics of magic. The father explains that he used the 3rd level of flame, wove a fiery phantom from it to deceive the enemy, and insists, a weaker mage cannot cope without illusions, it is just a deception woven from fire itself. Mr. Hildegund angrily asks why he missed again and whether he really is the spirit of darkness. And the monster growls in response that he will regret daring to deceive him. The first says that it's good, the spirit of darkness is not very clever, and the second notices that this gives them a little time. The father insists that this boy is spending too much magical power, and the girl suggests transferring it to her character. The man says that she is already almost at the limit and admits he has no choice, he must do it. The character asks distrustfully whether that man really thinks he can break through the flawless defense of the dream turtle. Mr. Hildegund warns her, beware of the spirit of darkness. He asks about Riene and suddenly notices the young man looks a little like her. The traveler has a headache and the pain grows with every minute. The wizard reflects on this boy and another figure. The heroine calls the man and calls him Hilda. She notices that he has fallen asleep at the table again. The woman says she understands. Grimoires simply enchant him but insists one must know when to stop. Riene advises the hero to go to sleep in bed so as not to get used to falling asleep at the table, and fears that the future child will inherit this habit. The man will beg her for forgiveness. It is said that he met her at the Royal Academy of Mages. The boy reveals the truth. He was born into a family of magical aristocracy, the Aldegames, and has a talent for magic. The girl says, Riene was a commoner, but extraordinarily gifted incredible diligence, and passionate zeal earned her first place among the entrants to the Academy of Mages. The hero says that they constantly quarreled. He, as an aristocrat, could not lose to her. That boy further says that she herself willingly accepted his challenges, because she had a burning desire to defeat the influential aristocrat. He says that in their clashes they did not hold back at all, yet surprisingly, their relationship developed harmoniously. Before they realized it, feelings had already arisen between them. He says that because of their different origins, both families were categorically against their relationship. But you can't command young hearts, they insisted, and did get married. The woman immediately understood what it was, and the character responded. It is written on him grimoire. She says that this is the first book on ice magic for beginners. Ice magic is available to everyone. The aristocrat says, since I was born into the Aldheim family, at least I should know this, but even that is not enough. The girl asks about name options, and the man says he hasn't thought about it yet. The sorcerer sits at the table, thoughtfully pondering something, and says, sounds good, it will suit both a boy and a girl. The doctor says that the lady is in critical condition, and if nothing changes, he will not live to see the story end. They say Ramina was never healthy, and it was inevitable. The gentleman asks her to be silent, assuring that everything is fine. The man with a smile says that they have a wonderful doctor and midwives, and that he will be by her side. He adds that he has already thought of a name for their baby Noah and asks what her name is. The woman says, I like the name Noah, it is so beautiful. Rain, through pain, says that he will not see his son's face when he is born, and apologizes to her for bringing her trouble again and again. The characters firmly shake hands, a quiet, sincere sign of love for each other. The girl also says that she loves him. They say that shortly after this Riene gave birth to a handsome boy, but she herself left this world. He begs not to be left alone, anxiety trembles in his voice, and there is a palpable dependence on her presence. The man realizes that he should love Noah just as he loved the late Riene and become a good father to him. He admits that he could not come to terms with her death, and this deeply undermined his psyche. The aristocrat notices an incredible magical power in the child, one he has not seen before, and this deeply impresses him. The wizard feels the girl gave herself so that this boy would be born, so he became infinitely precious to him. They say he protected his psyche by shifting all the blame for what happened onto his beloved Antonoa. The man is certain this child, thanks to his unique magical power, will become the most powerful mage in the world. They say that 5 years after his talent was discovered, he never managed to finish speaking. With pain and disappointment, he says that his dream was shattered in just an hour. Mr. Hildegand admits that he tried to harm his child from Riene. He admits that he considers himself the worst father in the world. The man recalls how he treated Noah and comes to the conclusion some of his actions can no longer be undone. He turns to his son, surprise and uncertainty on his face. The girl says that erased memories cannot be restored. A shadow flashed sharply, tension hung in the air, and he said that he had found them after all. The monster asks if they liked being tricked by him. The woman warns others, be careful and avoid danger. She screams for everyone to run, her magic is insufficient, and she is powerless to resist the spirit of darkness. The enemies explain why they think he will let them go. The enemy warns, the Rune people will soon disappear, and threatens that nothing will change. The man asks himself what he is doing, and doubts and anxiety grow inside him. He says he left the girl alone so she could defend herself, and asks himself why he is running away. Mr. Hildegand hesitates, he does not know what to do next, completely confused and indecisive. The father imagines looking into his son's eyes as soon as he opens them. He feels that he has treated him without understanding all his life, and asks himself what good deeds and forgiveness will bring now. The hero whispered that the best thing is simply to disappear from this world. The spirit of darkness laughs and calls the Rune people fools. The monster quietly demands, give him his son, supposedly only this can save him. The heroine is firmly convinced the spirit of darkness will not be able to possess the boy. The enemy shouts at the top of his voice. Even the king of the Rune people, although he inherited the power of the Book of Peace, is unable to move the Turtle of Dreams because even the king himself failed. He orders to surrender and provide a worthy report. Another figure begs let her go. Shadow says that his mind must be empty if he returned after such an event. Mr. Hildegand assures another character that Noah is safe. He says that he set a barrier so that his son would be safe if something happened. He considers himself a worthless person and painfully realizes that he himself destroyed his son's life. The aristocrat sharply jumped up in surprise and immediately realized his life is worth nothing anymore. He feels everything will repeat again if he runs away from problems once more. The hero admits that he could not cope with the loss of his wife Riene and blamed his son for it. The wizard decisively declares, running away is not an option. He can no longer run away from his problems. He says that for the sake of his late wife Riene, he must love his son Noah and decides, this time he will live. The monster notices that the hero looks strange. He thinks, there is no point in glaring at such a worthless person. Mr. Hildegen says that he is still considered the strongest fire mage in the world. He says that such an evil spirit as he will burn to ashes in his flame. The monster replies, it's all nonsense and asks Noah and Riene to forgive him for his actions. He also says that the fame of the magical Aldgheim lineage, the authority of its leader, and whether magical talent will turn into success or failure he doesn't care. He calls the spirits of fire scattered through eternity and asks them to respond to the call. The spirit asks the hero, do you really think I will wait until you say the spell? He admits that he fell for the same trick twice and says that because of this he is a fool. The hero turns to the flame that has been burning since ancient times and calls it to himself to destroy everything. Supposedly he uses Meteor Flame, a level 10 flame limit, trying to repel the enemy. He says that he himself can do nothing against that magical turtle immune to dream magic, so he takes all the damage. The father looks at Noah and says that now he himself must act because the father is no longer able to continue the fight. The girl enthusiastically calls the hero's magic majestic, and someone notes that even as a human he succeeded. The monster says, who would have thought that someone like him would make me reveal myself? He notices that this is the first transformation in 100 years, and the creature replies evenly, there is nothing to fear, with one bite it will end his suffering. Someone apologizes to Alexia and says with pain in their voice that they were delayed too long. The boy spoke, recognizing in the creature the very same spirit of darkness he had once heard about. The boy realizes, the protection is removed, now it is possible to inflict magical damage on the dream turtle. The main character asks in surprise what is happening here. He has a bunch of questions he would like to ask, but he understands, now is not the time to speak. And the girl notices a crack on the dream turtle's shell. The young man notes that the most powerful magic of Mr. Hildegen is already starting to work and warns, it is dangerous here, so for now it is better to step away from this shell. The character prepares for a decisive counterattack against the dream turtle. The heroes noticed, the shell of the dream turtle is beginning to crumble even if only partially. They understood that the process is ongoing and that there is a chance for success. One of the heroes says, among all adventurers, only he is capable of such an impossible feat. The princess urgently calls the team to act immediately. If there is even the slightest chance of victory, it must be seized at once. They say this old man with a beard and hat is the court archmage Lawrence himself. He released a level 3 lightning bolt and asked, what was that? The mage says that the magic has begun to affect the dream turtle. She says that her resistance to magical attacks has not just fallen, it has started to work in reverse, and now doubles the damage inflicted on her. The sorcerer continued to insist that he had never seen anything like it in his life, and that it was true. They say you have to learn all your life, and he caught a magical signal for help. The main character says that someone has to come and take his father away. Noah admits that he planned to sever all ties with his father but says, it is hard to imagine how memory erasure could have stopped working on his father. The girl says that her dad sincerely repented for how he treated him and even apologized. She admits that she did not catch everything said, but the story never concludes. The boy says that during his father's memory erasure, flashes of his father's memories flashed through him and adds, he cannot forgive his father for the past. The boy insists that her dad really loved her mom very much. Once he thought that he was indifferent, but now he sees, everything was quite different. The hero tells how at the most difficult moment, when the magical power was completely exhausted, he was saved and frankly admits, without his father's help he could have been in danger. Noah decides to talk to his dad about how this battle will end. The boy offers to help Alexia with her wounds. She insists that she feels fine, but her condition only heightens anxiety, so he strictly orders her to sit down. The monster was impressed by how Noah managed to bypass the intricate defenses of the Turtle of Dreams. One of the soldiers shouts, Fafnir, and another knight angrily warns the commander about possible danger and says that he himself could also be harmed. They say the girl is an S-rank adventurer known as Cold Mesa, and the wolf supposedly is the king of beasts Fenrir. The monster got angry upon noticing that Fafnir was controlled by someone else, and decided that now he is someone's pet. Mesa cannot contain her surprise. Is she the only one who keeps the S-rank monster under control, and who is really its master? The traveler can hardly believe his eyes. It's incredible that the mad dragon bowed before someone and asks Fenrir if he knows him. The king of beasts quietly admits that he has fought this dragon more than once in the past. The dragon noticed a familiar creature, suddenly opened his eyes wide in surprise and exclaimed, "Is this an ice dog?" The wolf exclaims with joy, "How nice to meet after so many years," and jokes that for fun he can freeze the enemy. Someone loudly calls everyone, "Focus on this battle with the dream turtle and be attentive." The warriors decisively say, "As long as there is a chance, we must inflict maximum damage on the enemy, because his defense has significantly weakened." They say that magical means of restraint are already targeted for attack. They notice that the dream turtle has frozen, and the girl says that they are shutting down one by one. They say that even slightly slowing down the enemy is already a great victory. The hero barely audibly says that any wound, even the smallest, is important for their victory. Knights call everyone to gather and continue the attack on the dream turtle with all their might. The girl says that long before the founding of the kingdom of Razd, near the place where they now stand, there was a great city-state. The young woman says that the ancient city was called Karkasha, and ancient people lived there, the Run tribe. The traveler claims that ruins of buildings, remnants of the ancient city Kirksis, can still be found in the vicinity. The heroine recalls the famous Sky Tower. It is visible from the royal capital, and it stretches upward to an incredible height. The soldiers are ordered to retreat. The operation is entering its final stages, and at that moment the dream turtle breaks through the last line of defense. The dragon twitched in surprise at the order to retreat and croaked, "Did someone not read the strategy manual carefully?" The character sincerely thanks Alexia for the permission to implement the plan. The princess confirms they must retreat. They say that if he and Noah had not gone to those ancient ruins, they would never have come across Alexia. Yuna concludes that the kingdom of Razd was most likely destroyed. It could not withstand the giant monster that suddenly appeared. And adds, "Every action becomes a consequence of the previous one for a reason." The girl says that even for a dream turtle, falling under such weight can be dangerous, especially when its defense is weakened. The dragon, despite difficulties, decides to continue the fight and boldly declares that he is ready to take on even greater responsibility. The heroines exclaimed in surprise, "Fafnir." The dragon says farewell to the Turtle of Dreams, and he realizes that he has reached the limit of his abilities and strength. He falls. They say the enemy no longer moves. The monster, full of disappointment and rage, blurted out, "Who would have thought they toppled the heavenly tower? I wasted so much time on its resurrection, but it turns out it was a great waste." He admits that he himself received an incurable wound from Noah's attack, and considers the situation terrible. He does not believe that everything can end so sadly. The enemy asks the Turtle of Dreams to give him his body. The heroes froze in amazement as soon as they saw the creature move again. The princess decisively orders all troops to retreat and insists they must leave the kingdom's capital. Another character recognizes the princess with astonishment. The girl says that continuing the fight will only worsen the situation. The young girl insists, not only they will suffer, all other inhabitants will suffer too, and she calls to evacuate people as far as possible from the capital. Misei feels the situation is turning serious. They are figuring out whether they can defend the elf village if nothing changes. And someone notices this monster is already something like a god or a demon lord. The enemy insists that the world is beginning to fill with human darkness. He says that this is exactly what he wants. Noah notices that the spirit of darkness has merged with the Turtle of Dreams, and thinks in awe, he should just deal with it, strike the shell. The main character decides to use the Book of Peace to weaken the enemy. They notice that the item still hasn't appeared, and this shocks and worries them. The girl explains in a trembling voice that the power used belongs to the king of the Rune tribe. She cuts off, he does not have sufficient access to continue using it. He is not even from the tribe, so there are almost no options. The boy asks what to do. The young man asks Alexia if there is any way to strengthen his powers. The girl replies that she doesn't know, since the fact that he inherited the power of the book is already a miracle. The hero decisively says, there is no choice, he will have to act without the book, so he asks her to stay here. The traveler says, if I don't go they will destroy the kingdom's capital. And Alexia, surprised and frightened, exclaims that he also has limits. The boy quietly reminds the girl of his promise not to die, and this calms her. She shows her feelings more strongly, saying that she no longer wants to lose loved ones, especially after the tragedy with her father. And she says that she understood how to increase his access. Alexia bitterly realizes, after the death of her father, the throne of King Kirkishu is empty, and she, the princess of the Rune tribe, does not complete this story. The girl believes if they marry, the throne will go to him. The father turns to the girl and says that a kiss for them, the Rune tribe, is a very sacred thing, given only to the person who is truly dear. She begs Aldihima Noah to grant the Rune tribe eternal protection. The heroine sincerely apologizes that everything happened so suddenly and says, they just decided to get married. The main hero expresses surprise and delight from the power he feels. The girl says that now the hero can use the Book of Peace without any restrictions because he became the king of the Rin tribe, although he did it very roughly. She confidently asserts that with this power they will definitely achieve victory. The warriors know this, they are in danger. The monster applies a vector change. One of the knights uses a skill and instantly fully heals. NOAA performs an indirect spatial transition, leaving others in a different place. The creature sees that another character has blocked its path and resolutely prepares to act. The enemy says he never would have thought that the Book of Peace would be summoned again by someone not from the Rune tribe, and adds, that's even better, he will deal with him and take the power of the Book of Peace. He mocks the hero and challenges him to a fight. The boy activates a light beam that cuts through the darkness and rushes into attack. Then choose to change the quantity. He multiplies the strikes, and from under his fingers grows an avalanche of swords flying into attack. The opponent only smiles and says that this is such a funny, childish prank. The warrior suddenly pointed somewhere. His gesture instantly drew the attention of the other characters. Above the Turtle of Dreams, a shining object was suddenly noticed. It rushed into battle with it, and the adventurers froze in surprise. The hero anxiously feels the magic beginning to fade. The monster coldly replies that his skill in using the book is worthless. Without mana, he will not be able to do anything. Noah suddenly realizes, to change the laws of the world with the book, much more magical power is needed than before. He opens the book and finds notes on how to restore magical power and surpass its upper limit. That guy insists that he can change. The girl and the rival froze in amazement, watching as he completely tames the dream turtle. The young man insists, as long as the Book of Peace is in his hands, the spirit of darkness has no chance to win, and the creature asks who he is. He doubts the hero's confidence. His memory has faded of his ancient victory over the Rune King, the very one who also held the Book of Peace. They say the kingdom's capital was engulfed by darkness, and this frightens the people. The hero notices the pages begin to darken. The enemy says he poured his darkness directly into the core of the world, and now he can no longer use the power of the book. The enemy threatens darkness will engulf everyone. The heroes are gripped by anxiety. The knight, overwhelmed by despair, says the situation is hopeless. Noah realizes that the book is now only black pages, and this shocks him and fills him with unease. He suddenly notices the pages of the book are not just black, and he notices that they are sprinkled with tiny symbols, and this surprises him. He honestly admits that he has never dealt with such an absurdly complex language before, and this completely confuses him. Suddenly the boy realizes, the symbols on the pages of the Book of the World can be deciphered. The young man recalls his lonely childhood days when he first awakened the ability to decipher a skill that will now come in handy to read the Book of the World. The monster proclaims victory and wildly triumphs. The hero says that so that darkness does not fall upon him, he suddenly and mysteriously falls silent. He says that he will use his absolute defense, the Turtle of Dreams. Noah believes that the world is a weave of symbols. The power of the book allows him to create anything. The enemy, with surprise, cannot understand how he still uses the power of the book. The hero explains, the shell of the Turtle of Dreams absorbs all kinds of magical power. Noah adds that it shoots magical power back. That guy insists that the dark spirit missed his choice of opponent, and adds, if someone else were in his place, the world would have long been under his control, as he intended. The creature is stunned by the man's actions and does not understand how people can resist him at all. He notices, after the last battle, people have become different, not the same as before, and he himself has not changed at all. The traveler says that from the past to the present, many have inherited knowledge from books, and feelings continuously passed from generation to generation, and now we live on the peak of all accumulated experience. He sincerely thanks the Book of Peace for its help and support. Noah abruptly cuts off the conversation. This is the end, and addresses the spirit of darkness.